Is an earlier live than usual, but there's a lot to talk about today. And I mean, not that there isn't every day, but that today there's just a lot, and there's documents galore. And I just thought, let me go ahead and get started today so that we are on and ready to go. Good morning, Vashti. How are you? Good morning, Red Pen. What's up, Tommy D? How are you? Good morning, Red Hot. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Jay Nice. Good morning, David. How are you guys? As you can tell, I am not interested in looks today. I'm interested in the work and all that we have to talk about. Good morning, Penny GF. Good morning, Sherry, Miss Slim Shady. Good to see you. Good morning, Mary Shaw. Linda, good morning. Nini, Winn Dixie. Good to see all of you guys rolling up in here. If you are joining me from the Book of Faces or the Tube of You, please make sure that you speak because I don't get to see you when you join, and I would love to greet you and say hello. This morning I am on the Book of Faces, the Tube of You, and on the Tick of the Talk. So you can find me on any of those platforms this morning. I'm not sure what you mean. What do I think of Anthony Delgado? I am early today, Amy. I am. I'm. You gotta tell me what you mean, Nini. Good morning, Jamie. Good to see you. Hey, Tech Lady. Hello, Lanny for Humanity. Hello, Witch. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Nico. Good to see you. Good morning, Neuro Mama. Good morning, Cam. Grabbing your coffee. Yeah, I have not had any yet. Good morning, hospice nurse. Hey, sunflower fish. Good to see you as well. Um, Folks, all of the images that are on the background play a role in all of the things that we are going to talk about today. And some of them is going to mean going back for a little bit, coming forward for a little bit. Um, what's up, Jesse James? Good morning, Sharon, and reminding us of the times that we were living in. Good morning, Hilda. Good to see you. It's going really, really fast, you guys. Salam Mohammed. Good morning, River Ray. I am well. I hope that you guys are well also. Oh, protocol for you work for the VA in Seattle. You think that there's an active threat. Well, hopefully there is not, and everything gets resolved, and everyone stays well and safe. Good morning, Chef Ryan. Hey, Melinda. Good to see you, Michigan Mountaineer as well. Um, hey, Susan. Okay, so folks, if you are not familiar, hey, Lonnie, if you're not familiar with all of these faces, I'm going to run through the images that I have in the background so that everyone knows what we're talking about. Of course, the two in the center, that is Jeffrey and um, sure, KP. Sure, I met Will when we were in Southwest Virginia together. He and I spoke at the same event in Abingdon, and so I met him there. So sure. Hey, good morning, Denise. So yeah, would love to do that. Good morning, Celia B. Good morning, Jamie. That pic says 1,000 words. Yes, it should. Let me go over the images that are in this, all the faces that are in here. Good morning, Maka. Good morning, coolest mom ever. So that you all know, everybody, that we're going to be chatting about today. We are going to be chatting about the two in the middle, which is obviously Jeffrey and Donald. We're going to be talking about Ghislaine as well. We're going to be talking about Clarence Thomas is above Dani. You see Bill next to Clarence, and I'm gonna share with you why I put Clarence and Bill in this picture. Good morning, Micro. To the right of Clarence Thomas is Alex Acosta. That was the person that gave Jeffrey such a sweetheart deal back in the early 2000s when he was convicted in Florida. Next to Alex Acosta is Matt Gaetz. We will talk about the allegations of Matt Gaetz and the fact that Kevin McCarthy said he was removed from Speaker of the House because he wouldn't shut down the investigation into Matt Gaetz. We'll talk about that as well. Good morning, Cam. Good morning, Ethan. Nice to see you guys. Good morning, Big Daddy D. To the left of Jeffrey, you do see Mike Johnson. With a look that I'm sure he probably looks like right now. And then these other three, they actually go together. The three images that are on the far left, right, which would be Bibi Netanyahu, Nick Fuentes, and Tucker Carlson. Those three images actually go together. If I had had time and space, I would have also added in Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation. But I ran out of time and even the desire to do so. So we're going to rock with what we got. Good morning, Jess. Glad to see you. Yeah, so there obviously is a lot to talk about, and I know that there's a lot of speculation about all of these images. Now, folks, they released over 20,000 pieces of material related to Jeffrey yesterday. So obviously, your girl has not looked through 20,000 documents. I have accessed the drive where all of them are housed, and what I will tell you is there are Excel spreadsheets, there are texts from books, there are emails, of course, as you have seen. There's a lot of information that is in there. Good morning, Shanna. And so it's going to take a lot of time to go through. I also have pulled out just a few of the court cases, Salam Mohammed, that are here and ready. And so I need to, I'm going to reference these as we talk about this stuff and go all the way through it. Okay. Before I do that, let me just remind everybody that it is incredibly helpful to me and to the algorithm and to the information that I share if you guys like and share the live. So if you think what I do is beneficial, if you find good information here, if you want more people to hear what I share and how I share it, please make sure that you also share it on your page, tag your friends, invite them to listen, hit it with a strong like, repost it, add it to your story if you're on TikTok. Also, make sure that you are, if you're on TikTok, that you do your daily heart me. And then after you do your daily heart me, make sure that you click it again. And then you go in and you claim your points. Okay. When you comment, claim your points. If you send gifts, make sure you claim your points. All of those things are important in the TikTok world for boosting things up and getting us pushed out to the FYP. All right, so let's go. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. I need to grab Angie. Good morning. Good morning, folks. Give me 1 second. Once again, I forgot one of the things. Yes, you can add it to your story, 100%. 1 second, I forgot to grab something. Sorry, you guys. I always forget at least one thing, no matter how hard I try to not do that. I usually do at least one. So sorry about that, but your girl's only human. So I needed my water. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Before I dive right into all of these things, good morning, Gabe the Babe. Good morning, Jen. Good to see you guys. Before I dive into all of those things, I want to, good morning, Elva. I want to go over something. Hey, Rachel, good to see you. Hold on, give me a second. Wow. Okay. Thank you for the person who sent this to me. Okay. I want to get into a couple of things. Good morning, Find Out. So before we dive into all of this stuff and all of the emails and all of the information and whatever, I want to go over a couple of things. Okay. There are things that are in the continuing resolution that are super important, and they matter. They matter a lot to states like North Carolina, Georgia, and others that where the devil's lettuce is illegal. And there are lots of businesses that have done really, really well because of hemp. There is language in this continuing resolution that would pretty much shut those businesses down and cause a lot of economic harm to states that have a large amount of industry around hemp and things like that. So it is important for people to understand that is also in there. Another thing that is really important that I want people to understand, and yesterday, good morning, Mitas. Yesterday I went over, good morning, Laura Bailey, good to see you. I went over some information yesterday afternoon because honestly, I just got frustrated, and so sometimes when I get frustrated, I will just go on live and just make it happen. And then other times I might record a quick video and put it up. And so yesterday on the Book of Faces, that's what I ended up doing. Yesterday, there were a lot of people that were commenting again about this thing with SNAP and Medicaid, and that it is just for quote unquote illegal aliens, right? To get health care. Good morning, Jamie Cobb. And I just got very frustrated because I did a post. I included the law. So if you are not familiar with the law around undocumented immigrants or unauthorized immigrants, thanks, Tiff. Appreciate it. Buenos dias, Mr. Barrios. It is 8 USC 1611. So 8 USC, United States Code 1611. Good morning, Melvin. It tells you that undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants are not eligible for federal benefits. Okay. And then it goes on to list a few exceptions in B. And those exceptions, one of them falls under a law called EMTALA. The EMTALA law applies to absolutely every human being that is in this country, whether it is someone from another country that is visiting, whether it is an unauthorized immigrant that is here, whether it does not matter the status of the individual, right? They could be traveling here from another country. It doesn't matter. If someone needs emergent medical care at an emergency room, the hospital is required to treat them, to examine them first of all, right? And then there's like a classification that you get as to how severe you are. And then if required, they must medically stabilize that patient. If they don't have the capability at that facility to stabilize them, then they must transfer them to another a facility that has the appropriate care. That is called EMTALA. EMTALA is a law. It is not a federal benefit, and it exists for this entire country. Everywhere. Got it? For any human being at all. It is not some benefit that undocumented or unauthorized immigrants commit fraud to have access to. It's not a thing. By the way, I want you to just, can we try, alaikum salam, can we try to just use common sense? If I am here as an unauthorized immigrant and I know that I don't have legal status, would I apply for something no, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. TikTok gave me a live restriction, and I was like, no, it doesn't. But we're going to use common sense. If I'm an unauthorized immigrant and I am here illegally and I don't have status, okay, the last thing that I'm going to do is to apply for benefits that have to go through the federal government and bring attention to the fact that I'm here illegally, because then I am most likely to get deported, right? It's the same thing with registering to vote. Unauthorized immigrants face 5 to 10 years in prison if they register illegally to vote, and they don't want to register to vote because they don't have legal status and they do not want to be deported or put in jail. So listen, folks, this is the thing that is really important. Okay? You're so full of shit, Morgan. Your unauthorized illegal neighbors don't have food stamps. So please don't come in here and lie with misinformation. It's just simply not true. It is not true. Okay? So listen, folks, it's just wild that people say things that they know aren't true. Okay? You do not qualify for those things if you are an unauthorized immigrant. Morgan, it's not accurate, period. Period. Thank you. My appeal was approved. Love that. TikTok assumed that because there were people that had requested, right? That was the problem. Who pays the emergency room bill? What an odd question, Peacekeeper. The same people that pay it, regardless of who it is, right? So if it is emergency, follow me. It that's what happens. All right. So listen, folks. Um, right, Cam. And it said that I was telling them to do something when I'm not. So, children who are born here in the United States that are citizens, even if their parents are not citizens, those children do qualify for SNAP. So let's be careful when we talk about who is getting entitled to something. It's just that simple, folks. How? Because they are American citizens. So, because of the Fifth and the 14th Amendment, if you are born here in the United States of America, you are a U.S. citizen because this is the country you were born in. That's why you're a U.S. citizen, regardless of who your parents are. And even if, let's just say, for example, someone is visiting here from another country and they give birth here, that child is going to have dual citizenship unless they give it up from one or the other. Hey, good morning, Sherry. Good to see you. So, when we talk about when people say, "Yeah, but I know people who are unauthorized and they have Medicaid." Okay, let me explain this to you. So, just like every other situation in this country, states have the ability because they're not applying for themselves. They are not applying for themselves. So let's be clear, just so everybody understands, they do not get it. So if you have someone that is getting Medicaid or whatever, it is state funds that are being used because states have the right to make their own laws. Some of you like to talk about states' rights. Well, let's just play that out for a moment. It is a state's right to give benefits to people that are state funded, even if the federal government doesn't give them benefits that are federally funded. The states have the right to do that. What the states don't have the right to do is to take away benefits or rights that the federal government gives. Okay. So that's why it's important, hey Lynette, to really understand the difference between federally funded, state funded, what state laws they can pass, and what state laws can't pass, right? So if a state wants to give health insurance to people that are unauthorized immigrants that don't have legal status, which includes way more people than you think. DACA is included in that. People that are actually going through the right process. Salam alaikum. So let's just say that somebody comes in, they seek asylum, they're going through the court system. It's going to take 3 years for them to determine whether or not they're going to be granted asylum or any of those things, right? They still don't have a legal status, even though they are here legally. They haven't been given an actual legal status, but they are here legally. Follow me? So those people still do not qualify for federally funded benefits. Now, in New York has said, if you are here and you are working, which means our government has issued you an ITIN number, which is an individual tax identification number, then you can purchase your health care from the ACA marketplace. Right? And that's what they do. Good morning, Tim Burke. Good to see you. So it's just important for people to understand how that works. Okay. Now, that works whether we're talking about it's anything that is federally funded. So whether that's SNAP, whether that's Medicaid, regardless of what it is, and even if they pay into it. So even if they have an ITIN number and they are working and they pay into Social Security and they pay into Medicare, they are not eligible to receive those benefits. They don't get them. And this thought that people have that they would try to get them is crazy, because if they were to try to get them, they would run a very high risk of being discovered and deported. It literally is, it's counterintuitive to their end goal. Good morning, Dr. Emmy. So I know that, sometimes our bias and our bigotry can get in the way. However, it is a good idea to do is to put that on to the side and actually apply some common sense and some critical thinking. Good morning, Christine. Okay. So I just want to cover that very quickly. The second part that I want to address, I've said it all the time, but there are new people in here. And so I want to make sure that just everybody understands why the government was shut down and what it is all about. Okay. Are you ready? So when we talk about the government being shut down and Democrats not agreeing to pass the continuing resolution, I'm going to sum that up for you very quickly so that people understand what it is and what it isn't. You got it? So the Democratic senators they wanted to extend, thank you, Cam, the Affordable Care Act subsidies, those tax credits. Now, you might be saying, well, why do we want to do that? They were only supposed to be temporary. I understand that. They were only supposed to be temporary. But here's the thing. Since that, in the last 10 years, since these were designed and they were put in place and they were supposed to be temporary, do you know what hasn't happened? A different healthcare system. We haven't improved upon the ACA. We haven't replaced it with anything different, right? Donald Trump said during the debate last year, he's got concepts of a plan, okay? So even if it was supposed to be a temporary fix, let's just say, for example, the hose on the back of your washing machine or on the back of your dryer, let's just say the hose on the back of your dryer at home, it tears. And you go to Lowe's and you buy some of that HVAC silver tape, looks like duct tape, but it's specifically made to handle the heat that comes from your dryer. And you get that tape and you wrap it around that hose, and it's supposed to be a temporary fix. It's not supposed to be permanent, and it's not perfect, but it works, right? Good morning, Auntie Tinker. Oh no, girl, I don't support Home Depot at all. It's supposed to be a fix. It's not perfect, right? But it's a fix that allows you to still dry your clothes, right? You don't go, oh, well, I only want to keep this on here until, my next payday. And then on your next payday, you don't just take it off and go, this is supposed to be a temporary fix. It's not supposed to last forever. If you don't have the money to go buy the new hose, if you don't have the new hose to put on the back of your dryer, you don't just take the damn tape off and leave it broken, do you? No. And so since we do not have another way to ensure that every American citizen has access to health care, right? Because we do not have that, we have to extend these subsidies, because that is how we ensure that 21 million Americans still have access to health care insurance that is somewhat affordable. It's still too expensive, which is the other argument that I heard. So let's just take that argument on, okay? Somebody said, well, healthcare is too expensive, and so this doesn't solve that problem. It doesn't. It doesn't. But again, just because you can't solve the entire problem doesn't mean you don't attempt to fix it. Right? We understand that. In regular everyday life, we understand that. If you have a hole in your roof and there's water that's kind of trickling down through your roof, and you don't have the money to replace your entire roof, do you not try to plug up the damn hole and patch your roof? Of course you do. Of course you do. Now, when people say, oh, but they're paying for this and they're giving that money to those health insurance companies, they are. And here's why they are. You got it? Back in the day, and many of you who are younger than Gen Xers, and maybe even some millennials, you might not remember when anyone with a pre-existing condition could not get health insurance. But I do remember that. So women who have had children and they have had a cesarean, an emergency cesarean, that is a pre-existing condition. They've had a surgery. Okay. If you have an autoimmune disease, whether it's lupus, Crohn's disease, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, fibromyalgia, whatever, people with those types of conditions could not get health insurance. Diabetes, right? Even if they wanted to buy it themselves, health insurance was like, no, you have a pre-existing condition. We are not going to do that, right? So in order for the federal government to get the insurance companies to play ball with the healthcare market, what did they do? What they did was they said, all right, cool. We will pay part of these premiums, so 2/3 of them, as a matter of fact, so that Americans can afford to pay the rest and have insurance. Okay? That is why things are the way they are. Now, if you want something different, great. So does the rest of us. So do the rest of us. But what we're not going to do is let people starve or let people go without health care while we try to figure out what that's going to be. Right? If you're talking about during Black Friday, yes, take it back. I have. So it's just for everyone to understand exactly what we're talking about. Now, when we talk about the ACA marketplace where people purchase their insurance, understand that the people who are purchasing their insurance are sometimes business owners, entrepreneurs. Sometimes those are people that are working for companies that are too small to offer health insurance themselves. It's people that are working multiple jobs, like 2 part-time jobs, and therefore they're not getting health insurance from their employer, right? Those people are purchasing health insurance. Okay. Now, out of those people, it's like 21.3 million people. Out of those people, the average across the entire country is 92% of them that are getting those subsidies. Did you hear me? 92% of that 21.3 million people, they are getting those subsidies in order to be able to purchase their health care. So if the Republican Party chooses not to extend those subsidies, they will expire on December the 31st. And when they expire, you are going to see 19,600,000 American citizens who cannot afford their health care, because it's going to increase by 50, 75, 150%. It's going to increase. And many people are getting those letters now of what their new premiums are going to be like come January. Now, you might think, well, that doesn't affect me. I work for Microsoft. I work for Google. I work for Pfizer. I work for whomever. Okay. I have good health insurance. Well, let me share with you why it's still going to impact you. If you remember before, I was talking about that law called EMTALA that says hospitals have to treat anybody that comes through the door. Here's what's going to happen. You will have people going into hospitals for strep throat, for the flu, for a cold because they think it might be pneumonia, for whatever. Instead of going to their primary care physician, instead of going to urgent care, right? They're going to go to the emergency room for non-emergent issues. And when that happens, number one, your hospitals are going to be supremely overcrowded, as they already are. Number two, hospitals are going to have to treat those people whether they have insurance or not. They are not allowed to deny you care. They are not allowed. Now, once a hospital does that, right, they are going to do what to cover all of these people that they are seeing? Because they're not going to get their money from those people. So what are they going to do? They're going to raise their rates for the other people that are using insurance, right? They're going to raise their rates for insurance companies. And guess what insurance companies are going to do? They're going to raise their premiums for your employer. And your employer is going to pass that on to you. It literally affects everyone. And if everybody would simply understand that when we say we are all connected, we literally are all connected. And while it might not hurt you today, it will inevitably have an impact on you. Period. Okay? The other thing that you will see is you will see smaller hospitals that are in rural places. You will have even hospitals that are in the inner cities, urban hospitals. You will see those hospitals close. And the reason why you will see those hospitals close is because they will not be able to take the loss. We already have more rural and more urban hospitals closing than we have opening. Between 2019 and 2023, more urban hospitals closed than opened. Okay. Without limits, I already addressed that. So the comment over here was make healthcare affordable and insurance wouldn't be required. So again, until we have a fix for the very vulture capitalistic healthcare system and insurance system that we have in this country, right? Until we have that in place, what we don't do is let people unalive. And you will see about 50,000 American citizens unalive on I believe it's like an annual basis if these subsidies are not extended. Now, for all of you folks that profess to be pro-life and you don't think that Republicans should extend the ACA, you need to understand that you will have 50,000 American citizens unaliving on your shoulders. It's just that simple. Good morning, Sandra. Okay. If you are someone who says, I'm pro life, but your pro life is conditional, you're not pro life. You're not. If you do not believe that every life has value, even undocumented immigrants, right? Even LGBTQIA people, even Muslims, even Palestinians, if you do not believe that all of those people who are here on this earth walking around have value and deserve to have access to life-saving care, you are not pro-life. You might be pro-birth, but you are not pro-life. And they are very different things. And it's important for you to just know who you are. Because we do, like I know who you are. You show me who you are in your words and in your actions, and I believe you. But some of you all don't even know who you are yourself. And that's part of the problem. You know that saying when we talk about treat other people the way you want to be treated, right? Love thy neighbor as thyself, right? Some of you all are doing that. You are loving your neighbor exactly how you love yourself. You don't love who you are because subconsciously you already know that. I'm not sure what you mean, willful positivity, when you say which group of people give the most in charity. And I'm not sure how that relates to like what we're talking about here. Good morning, Peacekeeper. So it's really important, folks, that the people you are calling not pro-life do more for others. Oh, well, let's talk about that. I'm sorry, guys. I sent you an invitation, Willful Positivity. Feel free to join the panel. Willful Positivity. There you go. I think that's you. Thanks, Renee. I don't see you. Oh, there you are. It took you a minute to get on here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. So when you say that, well, so help me understand what giving to charity has to do with whether or not someone is pro-life.
You made a statement, and your statement was that if you don't believe that a certain group of people deserve the right to health care and other things, then those people are not pro-life, or they're not really pro-life. Maybe they're pro-birth, but not pro-life.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying, the crux of my message is this: how do you define if someone cares about other people and their well-being? One of the ways that you decide is not by what they say, is by what they do. So you look at actions of people and you say, what group of people in America donate to charity, volunteer their time more to the helping of other people? And this has been documented. There's research on this. And most of the time, it is people who are pro-life, people who are conservative, people who are conservative Christian. That is a documented fact. So when you say that those people are showing themselves because maybe they don't like a certain policy, it is you who is placing on top of those people your own projection of who they are versus what they really are. I can come to you and I can say, I don't like this policy. And you can say, well, if you don't like this policy, I'm going to impute upon you this idea that you don't care about people. But maybe I don't like the policy because the policy doesn't actually work. And that is the thing that a lot of people forget.
Okay,
when
so
people say give a policy, a lot of times the people trying to sell policies pick a name: Inflation Reduction Act, Affordable Care Act, they pick a name, and the reason they pick that name is because it is strategic to manipulate people who don't do more than surface research. Because when they hear Inflation Reduction Act, when they hear, Affordable Care Act, they have smuggled in an ideology that changes your mind to think, oh, I guess this is affordable. But we can look at the policy and say, this is not working. It was called Affordable Care Act. It didn't actually reduce the deficit. It didn't actually save anybody any money. And we are against that policy. And then people on the left will come and tell us, oh, it's because you don't like people. You want people to starve. You want people not to have health care. That is a caricature that lives on the surface, that refuses to analyze why people support certain policies and why they're against other policies.
Okay, so a couple of things. When you say that we judge whether a person cares by what they do, right? I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when a person knowingly votes to not give people access to health care, I judge them by that. I 100%.
Okay.
Nope, I'm going to finish speaking because I let you talk for a very long time. Yeah, I don't need you to tell me to go ahead. I was going to go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to go ahead. So the thing is when people say, and you did a very interesting thing. You talked about voting against a policy, right? Which makes it seem as if it is it's just this idea of this is like it's part of an SOP, right? But politics is not just a policy, a guideline. Politics, right? And that policy is the direct impact on the lives of people. Okay. So when we talk about, oh, I just don't like a particular policy. Well, if the policy is about healthcare, or if the policy is about food, it's not that you don't like the policy, right? And it's interesting how you frame it, right? But it is literally about what that policy is going to do for people. Now, you might not like or agree with what people will do under that policy, but that doesn't mean that you have the right to keep it from them. And the thing that I'm not interested in, right? I am not interested in people who are conservative or who are Christian that vote against giving poor people, lower income people, the things that they need in life so that they can turn around and give to charity for A, the tax deduction, and B, the virtue signaling, right? So this is what a lot of Christians and a lot of conservatives do. They vote against giving people the means that they need to eat, to afford their homes, to provide shelter, to go to school. And then what they do is they go, oh, look at me. I'm so great. I give X amount of dollars to this charity. Look what I did for these homeless people. You would not have to do that if you stopped blocking those people's access to it. But when you get to do that, it makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you look better to the world, and it gives you a great little tax deduction. I'm not interested in any of that. And neither are the people who want their food. Neither are the people who want access to their health care. Period. Because that doesn't represent Jesus.
Let me respond to that. I think once again, we create caricatures of each other's side.
I don't have a side. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican.
Either way, you are advocating for a certain frame of mind.
I'm advocating for human beings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the, I would say, the way I would look at it. It is not my goal, and I hope the goal of either any kind of pro-life movement or anybody who claims to care about other people. My goal is this. Our purpose on this earth is to serve each other. And the idea that we would outsource that to some system of government and make that responsible for caring for people is, I think, an aberration that causes a detachment between human beings that makes it so that systems of charity can become abused. If I am in your neighborhood and you know and understand that I barely make ends meet, but you see me at the food pantry helping you, when you take that charity, that means a lot more. You are less likely to abuse that charity because you are seeing who is delivering their extra to you. Now, if you create a policy that says,
No.
I am going to take from these people who are, have something, and then I'm going to give it to these people who are in need, and I'm going to remove that human element. So now it's a check that comes in the mail. Then what you have done is you have created what I'll call a social hazard. And this is what we see in the welfare system. What we see is people who are detached from an understanding of where that help is coming from. They don't see it as my neighbor is working hard. They don't see it as my next door, the person I see in the grocery store is working hard to give me this extra. They see it as the government owes me this because I'm a human being that lives on this earth. Therefore, I deserve this. And you saw people, when the SNAP benefits were threatened, people went online and literally said, I will steal from grocery stores because I deserve this. And that is the thing that you lose when you put a middleman of government in there. So yes, there may be some people who do charity for the tax breaks, but the thing that I want to emphasize is to build a strong society, we have to create connections with each other. We have to help each other, but by removing that and then putting it on some faceless system, you create a moral hazard, and that moral hazard is seen every day. People who are able-bodied, who can work, are sitting at home and they are collecting checks. And you know how we know back in the day? People would deny it, but we know today because they tell us. They post videos and they show us their designer bags while they're on food stamps.
No.
That is the moral hazard that you create.
No, that is not. There's nothing. So that's just, a lot of that is your opinion and conjecture. And that's what a lot of that is. And so what we're going to be clear about is a couple of things. So the way that you look at people is that if they are receiving some sort of benefit or entitlement from the government, then there's something less than about them, or they are naturally deceptive, scamming people.
Not true. Not true
yeah, no, it's exactly what you just said,
that is
sir.
Not what I believe.
That's what you, that is,
not what I believe.
no, that is what you just said.
No, that's not what I said.
That is exactly what you said. That is exactly what you said. That is exactly what you said. And I'm going to finish speaking because I did not speak over you. I'm going to speak and you're not going to talk over me because I didn't talk over you.
You're mischaracterizing.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you what you said. What you said is that somehow that these, and we know it, this is what they do. When they see who they're getting it from, as if who they're getting food from matters to people that need food. Right? That's literally what you just said. And so what I'm very irritated by is your characterization of people in need. And as if you know in and of yourself what is hazardous to their morals, as if you know anything about their morals, right? How do you know what is a moral hazard for those people? You don't know them. Do you believe that all of those people are the same? Because you're speaking as if you do, right? And when you talk about we should not have a government that takes care of its people, well, then why do we have the no taxation without representation? Why do people pay into a system if that system is never going to pay back to the people? Why do we pay into a system that continues to make it so that wealthy people, rich people don't have to pay into that system? Those people get all of the breaks, but it is the middle and lower income classes that are always supposed to carry the system, right? And so it's just very simple. Your first statement when you came up here was, who gives more to charity? As if that is the sole measure of a person's value or their superiority, right? I am more interested in people that want to create a society that doesn't need charity. So when people take from a charity, what is different? You tell me what is different if people are getting their help from a charity versus getting their help from the government, because that is still an institution. That is still a system that is giving them their sustenance. They're giving them what they need, right? What is different from a nonprofit business and the government? What is different between those two businesses and those systems?
I can tell you the difference.
I'm
Very
waiting.
simple. Yeah, the difference is this. What is your goal for that individual? If your goal is to develop that individual so that they can be self-sufficient, and your goal is not to make them dependent so you can leverage them for politics, then your goal would be to create a system that allows them to grow and become better. This is my perspective. My perspective is that if someone comes to me and they're in need, what I'm going to do is give them what they need right now for the short term. Once they have what they need, the next step is a conversation about how I can teach you to fish. How can we make this so that you can sustain yourself? Government doesn't do that. Government sees an opportunity to keep you on the dole for the purpose of politics so they can get votes. They can tie it to voting so that you give them power. That is the difference.
No.
The charity, if they're doing it right, is going to help develop you so that you can learn to fish, you can become more self-reliant, and that should be the goal. Keeping people on welfare for a decade or 2 decades is a politician's tactic to maintain power and not a way to actually help the person meet their full potential.
Okay.
The goal of welfare should be to graduate people into self-reliance and self-sufficiency, not to create a permanent dependent on the system for which they need that help. So yes, I think help is needed, but it should be temporary and it should be geared towards self-reliance rather than politics.
But I
And that
ask
is
you, I ask
unfortunately
you,
what happens when the government is involved, because it always turns to politics.
no, it doesn't always turn to politics. I promise you, when people go down and they apply for their SNAP interview, the person on the phone that is taking their information to determine whether or not they get SNAP is not asking them if they're a Republican or a Democrat. Nobody's asking them. Nobody cares. When people are applying for Section 8 to be able to afford a house, the person taking their information is not saying, oh, well, you should thank the Democrats for doing this for you. Nobody's having that conversation. At the end of the day, when these people are going and they need help, nobody is discussing political parties. Not a single soul. And if you don't know that, it might be because you've never needed any of that assistance. Period. Do you know what percentage of people who receive Medicaid are working?
I don't know the exact number.
Take a guess.
I would say probably, I don't have a good frame of reference for that, but I would say probably a good chunk of them have some kind of work.
But what's a guess? But how many of them work? How many of them have jobs? What percentage?
60 to 70%.
You are correct. So when you say to me that you want to teach them how to fish, it sounds like these people are already fishing.
And that is where we can agree.
Right. So they're fishing. Hold on. So they're fishing. So these people are already fishing. 8% of them are not working because they are retired or they can't find work, whatever. You have 7% that are going to school. That's why they're not working. You have 10% that aren't working because they have a disability. And then you have 12% that are not working because they are caregiving for someone else that is either elderly, disabled, or whatever. So when we say 60 to 70% are already fishing, that is the vast majority of the people that are receiving these programs. So they are not needing anyone to teach them how to fish. And this idea that you think they don't know how to fish comes from a place of superiority and judgment on a group of people you apparently don't know anything about. Right? So when we talk about this, these people know how to fish. Now, do you know what would be great? What would be great is if instead of having to need Christians and conservatives to donate to charity or to teach them how to fish, what if the people who were getting all of the tax breaks actually paid a livable, thrivable wage, and then people who are already fishing wouldn't need help on top of fishing?
Okay, we can have different policies about that.
Nope, I'm not having a policy. I'm stating facts.
Unfortunately, I have to go, but
yeah, well,
this conversation.
Yeah,
and if you don't mind, I'm going to follow you.
That's fine.
I would love to continue this conversation. I actually have a podcast that I would love to invite you. So I'll DM you if you want to continue this conversation. I'd love to have it, in a civil way. But I've really enjoyed talking to you so far. And this is the first time I'm coming across you. I just want you to know that I like that we're having this conversation. So yeah, so I just want to be clear. I'll send you a DM and then.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear about something that you said. We don't have a difference in policy. You have an ideology, and I have facts based on what's actually happening in those systems and with those people. That's the difference. You have an ideology, and I actually have the facts about the system. That's the difference. I also have a podcast. It is the Dani Cook Show. You're welcome to join me on it if you would like.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Some days I wish I was drinking something other than water, but I'm not. So folks, this is something else that I'm getting very tired of hearing. I am tired of hearing people demonize poor people, lower income people, disabled people. I am so tired of it. Meanwhile, assholes that get money from their parents, that monopolize corporations, that take billion-dollar, trillion-dollar packages while not paying a living wage, are looked up to and admired as if they are something our children should be. It's crazy to me. At what point did we become a society that is okay watching billionaires employ people? Now get this, and I want you to understand something. They're not paying you a living wage already, right? And then because they don't want to pay you anymore, they put in damn self-checkouts as if you're supposed to buy their products and then check yourself out. Or replace you with robots, Jeff Bezos. Right? This is the reason I love the people like Lena Khan, who was the commissioner of the FTC that is now on Mom Dani's team, because she's about breaking those type of people up. Because what they have done is create a society where everywhere we turn, something in our lives is connected to them. And I am so sick of it. You know, I had a conversation with my mama last night because I gave her my old TV. And so I put my stuff on it so she could stream in addition to her regular service, right? And so she was like, I can't see. What did she say to me? I can't watch, what's my show? Shit. The Mayor of Kingstown, which I love Jeremy Renner. And she was like, I can't even get the Mayor of Kingstown anymore. I said, Mama, I did that. when CBS/Paramount took Jimmy Kimmel off, I canceled my subscription. I canceled. I did that. Sorry, but I did. And as soon as she realized that's why I did it, she was like, oh, that's okay. Never mind. And don't get me wrong, I would love to watch the show. It's a great show. But you're not getting my damn $12.99. You're not getting it. You know what I mean? And so the thing that really irritates me is this mindset of superiority that people have. So let me just give you a little taste of something, folks. The same way that there is prejudice and bigotry towards Black people. Black people, you can have prejudice and bigotry towards poor people. You can have prejudice and bigotry towards white people. You can't be racist because you don't control the systems, but you can be prejudiced and bigoted. You can be prejudiced and bigoted towards LGBTQIA people. You hear me? And what you just heard was a Black dude who had bigotry. He had bigoted ideology towards poor people. That's what you heard. Just saying. And what's so crazy to me is how people who have experienced that discrimination, that type of targeting, right? How do those people become the aggressors towards other people? The cognitive dissonance is just astounding. To watch the state of Israel do what it's doing in Palestine is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Oh, I know what he sounded like, Veronica. I know. Right? The fact that I watch white women say the things that they are saying about undocumented immigrants is crazy to me. As if y'all don't remember what it was like when you weren't able to vote, when you couldn't have a credit card, when you couldn't buy a car or a house without your daddy or your husband. Hell, when you couldn't even have your tubes tied until your husband said you could. Does anybody remember that? Because all of that was in my lifetime. You best have a wake-up call. And while I'm talking to women, the women who are sitting up here and you want to open your mouth and defend Donald Trump over these damn Jeffrey emails and documents and everything else, I'm going to need you to have several damn seats. It's crazy to me that Bill Clinton was literally the most powerful man in the entire world. And people talk shit about Monica as if she wasn't supposed to be enamored by him, as if she wasn't supposed to be whatever. When you are in a position of power and authority, the responsibility is on you. Whether you're the priest or the preacher in church, whether you're the youth minister, whether you're the teacher at school, whether you're the president of the United States, whether you're a senator, whether you're somebody in a House representative. And I don't want to hear nothing about, well, she was 22, she was 24. I don't want to hear that. Your frontal lobe is not fully developed until you are 26. And I am so tired of hearing people demonize women for the actions of men. The only reason we are still dealing with fucking Django Stephen, Uncle Stephen's ass in the Supreme Court is because nobody believed Anita Hill. The only reason we are still dealing with Stephen from Django is because nobody believed Anita Hill. And all of this was in the same time frame. All of this was in the same time frame. Do you all not recognize that? When they talk about what type of society we were in, it's a society I have no desire to go back to. I don't want to ever sit in a society where no one is saying believe women. Right? You think about Brett Kavanaugh. You think about Bill Clinton, Clarence Thomas. You think about all of them and that mindset. You think about Matt Gaetz. You guys, Matt Gaetz, we are talking about 17-year-olds. And some of you all are still opening your mouth talking about, well, just because he was on a plane, he didn't do whatever. Just because, there's none of those girls have said he did A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. Do you understand what it takes to say the most powerful person in the world did A, B, C, D, X, Y? Ask Katie Johnson. Ask Katie Johnson what happens. Ask her how quickly you get doxxed. Ask her how many threats you get. Ask her when you are dealing with people that can literally disappear you. And y'all want to act like you don't know better. 30 women are not saying the same damn thing about the same person over the span of 3 damn decades, and none of it's true. And then y'all act like the man didn't sit up there and tell you, I grabbed them by the vajayjay without asking. He literally told you that shit himself. Like out of his own mouth. It's crazy to me. The man told you what he does. It's the absolute craziest thing I'm witnessing. And some of y'all are like, oh, it was just locker room talk. He wasn't in no damn locker room. He ain't 16 years old. He's not 13 years old. That's a grown ass man with daughters telling you what he did. It's a grown man. I have a friend that is running for Congress in Tennessee. Her name is Afton Bain. She is running to flip a seat in the Tennessee 7th Congressional District. She is a badass and I love her. And she said something in an interview, and I saw a clip of it the other day. And let me tell you something. She said, if you think things are going well, I'm not your candidate. And I said, you better fucking say that. You better say that. If you think things are going well, I'm not your girl, because things are not well. And I am ready for them to change. I am helping raise my grandchildren in a way that ensures that the world that they live in changes. While y'all are busy talking about, oh my God, what is this world coming to? The world that we are creating. We are literally creating this world. So what do you do? What do you say? What do you speak every day that creates this environment that we are living in? It is every single one of it. It's our responsibility. Do you know sometimes how tired I get of saying the same things over and over, of explaining to people, of trying to push through the prejudice and the cognitive dissonance and the bias and the covert racism and the overt racism and the misogyny? It is exhausting. And at the same time, I can't do anything else. Like literally, there was something in me that just makes me like I couldn't ignore it. You could not. I couldn't ignore it and go back to a 9 to 5 sitting in a cubicle if I wanted to. I couldn't, even if I wanted to. This is the world that we are in. And we are in it together. Yeah, which yesterday I was so done with people. I'm just so tired of you Democrats. First of all, I have never been a registered Democrat. Do I tend to vote Democratic? Yes. Why? Because their policies best represent my belief in humanity and what we should be doing for human beings. And I didn't used to always be that way. I used to be someone that voted based on the religion I had been taught my whole life. Of course they listen, if you say, do they ever follow through with policy? Nope. Yes, they do. Do you want to know how you know that they follow through on policy? Because we have SNAP benefits, because we have Section 8. What? What do you mean? What do you mean? Because we have a law like EMTALA. When you say, do they ever follow through on the policy? Nope. Now you're just being silly, because of course they do. Do they do it always? No. Can they do it always? No. Do you want to know why? Because other people are fighting them tooth and nail. If they didn't follow through on policy, schools would still be segregated. Women still wouldn't have the right to vote. Some people would still be property if we didn't follow through on anything. Stop being so silly and dramatic. Be an adult. Be responsible. Crazy to me. The things that y'all just say. Like, do you even think before it comes out your mouth? Do you think before you type it? Because if you don't, just tie your hands. Why do you think there are people with a 40-hour work week? Why do you think that you can't? Why do you think we don't have children in the United States of America still working in the mines and in factories? Because somebody followed through. Because somebody followed through. Why is it mandatory that you get to have a lunch break during your shift? Because somebody followed through. I'm just telling you. I want to be just so clear about something, y'all. I pulled this out because I moved recently. So I don't even have all my stuff unpacked. I pulled out these. This is just some of the court documents between Jeffrey and Donald. The other parts are in my carry-on suitcase that I packed them in, so I could roll them instead of trying to carry that shit. Do you all realize that everything that the House Oversight Committee released yesterday, none of that is even what the DOJ has? All of that came from Jeffrey's estate. Did y'all know that? All of that came from Jeffrey's estate. It's not even the files that the DOJ has. Can you imagine? And I just want to be clear, it's not just Donald Trump that's worried. It ain't just Donald. Are you kidding me? Listen, If they could take down a prince, I promise you that ain't the only royalty that participated. Y'all hear me? That ain't the only royalty that participated. These aren't the only CEOs and businessmen. You better start and think about how women and girls were viewed. I want you to think about how were we viewed 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I'll tell you what I remember hearing. What was she wearing? How many drinks did she have? Where were her friends? Why did she go over there? You know, these little fast ass girls need to stay at home. Now, it is still like that today in a lot of ways, but in other ways, we have woken up. There was never a Me Too movement when I was a teenager. And I was a teenager in the 90s. Do you all understand that Pete Hegseth goes to a church where the pastor and the pastor's wife have said and have written in their books that they do not believe husbands can commit essay against their wives because she belongs to him? Do y'all know that? Right, Doug Wilson. And then they have schools. And then his children go to their schools. Don't believe it? Look it up. I can do it for you. Doug Wilson and wife don't believe husbands can grape their, well, I literally wrote grape, y'all. Their wives. So let me find the let me see if I can find the actual. Oh yeah. He also says, so Doug Wilson, he has a website called dougwilsonsays.com. Okay. He actually says that, and this is like, these are people who write these things, right? Let me tell you what he says. Quote, this is a quote from Doug Wilson. You ready? In other words, however we try, the schmexual act cannot be made into an egalitarian pleasuring party. A man penetrates, conquers, colonizes, plants. A woman receives, surrenders, and accepts. True authority and true submission are therefore an erotic necessity. That is what Doug Wilson said. I'm gonna repeat it again. Quote, in other words, however we try, the schmexual act cannot be made into an egalitarian pleasuring party. A man penetrates, conquers, colonizes, plants. A woman receives, surrenders, accepts. True authority and true submission are therefore an erotic necessity. That is from Pete Hegseth's pastor. I'm just saying. Folks, I am doing my best. Oh, this is also, hold on. I got to tell you guys. So Nancy Wilson, Doug's wife, she wrote a book called The Fruit of Her Hands. In her book, she refers to the woman's body as her husband's garden. And here's what Nancy Wilson said. But of course, a husband is never trespassing in his garden, though he can be made to feel as though he is an intruder. This is Nancy, his wife. Quote, but of course, a husband is never trespassing in his garden, though he can be made to feel as though he is an intruder. So I just want you all to be clear. This is Pete Hegseth's church. These are his pastors. They have schools. His children go to those schools. Is there any wonder why he believes what he believes about women in the military? I'm just telling you. Yes, they have multiple schools and colleges. Tennessee, I believe. Hold on a second. Sorry, I have to lie. Okay, so no, hold on. Doug and Nancy Wilson Church. Let me see location because. Oh no, I'm wrong. They are in. They graduated in Moscow, Idaho. So if you all remember, well, that he's a pastor at Christ Church in Moscow, Idaho, which that is where the college, the mass college unalivings happened, was in that same town. And I only remember because when we think we say Moscow, but they pronounce it differently because of the city that it is, the town that it is in Idaho. I forgot. Tennessee has Greg Locke and a couple of other crazies. That's why I defaulted to Tennessee. Sorry. Okay, so I do want to share some things. So give me a second. And can one of my yeah, I know it was a valid guess, right? Yeah. Yeah, literally, it is all connected. Okay, so I want you all to think about a couple of things. Because like in reading these things, right? So this is from one of the court cases. Defendant Epstein, I'm reading from this deposition that's being referred to. Okay, what's up, Sin? It says defendant Epstein. I'm going to say Jeffrey. Every time it says Epstein, I'm going to say Jeffrey just to be safe on TikTok, right? And it says defendant Jeffrey has a sexual preference for young children. When number one, when questioned about this subject at his deposition, Jeffrey invoked his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent rather than make an incriminating admission. Accordingly, Edwards is entitled to the adverse inference against Jeffrey that had he answered, the answer would have been unfavorable to him. So I need for you all to remember that the Fifth Amendment doesn't just say you have the right to remain silent. That's not all that the Fifth Amendment says. The Fifth Amendment says you have the right to remain silent. Why? Because you have the right against self-incrimination. Did you hear me? That's what it is. It says you have the right to not incriminate yourself, which means when you take the Fifth Amendment, you are saying, if I answer that, my answer will incriminate me. Okay? The Fifth Amendment is literally, you have the right to not incriminate yourself. So when you say, I plead the Fifth, that means if you were answering, what you would say would incriminate you. Good morning, Betty G. Okay, so I think that it's really important. Yep, Tim, I know about those guys too, 100%. I won't mention his name on the tick of the talk because they are very sensitive to that name, but 100%. So I want you all to listen to the rest of this document. It is well settled that the Fifth Amendment does not forbid adverse inferences against parties, right? Number 2, Jeffrey repeatedly sexually assaulted more than 40 young girls on numerous occasions between 2002 and 2005 in his mansion in West Palm Beach, Florida. Not the island. This is in West Palm Beach, Florida. These assaults included penetration. Jeffrey abused many of the girls dozens, if not hundreds of times. So 40 girls, but repetitively. Okay. When asked, question, how many times have you engaged in oral with girls under the age of 18? He pled the Fifth. I'm not going to go through all of these right now, but you all do get it. And you all saw the emails yesterday that said, of course, he knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop. To stop doing what? Poaching girls from Mar-a-Lago, which he has admitted. Oh, it is. Of course we believe Virginia. Are you kidding me? He sure did. Morning, Mom. All right, so we are going to go to this right here. Let me turn this up.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
This is Jeffrey.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
So he said, although I'd like to answer that question, as of today, I'm invoking my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment. That's not what she said, Vision. What she said is that she did not witness him behaving inappropriately. She is not the only person. So this is why it's very important that you quote correctly. Virginia Giuffre did not say that Donald Trump never participated. That's not what she said. What she said is she never witnessed him behaving in an inappropriate manner. That is one person. And there are hundreds of victims. So it's very, very important that we are accurate when we say things. Now, you and I, what did we just establish about the Fifth Amendment, people? What did we just establish about the Fifth Amendment? The Fifth Amendment does what? It protects you from self-incrimination. Right? So if he asks, did you ever engage in social conduct with Trump, with Donald, right? In with females that are under 18, and he says, I gotta invoke the Fifth and the Sixth and the 14th. We know the Fifth is from self-incrimination. So the adverse inference that has legally been established that we can make is that if he were to answer it, the answer would be incriminating. Got it? Let's continue. Let me see if I don't want to hear them talk about him. I just want to hear his hold on. So if somebody asked me, I saw somebody say, has anybody ever come forward about him? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, more than one. And several of them way before he ever ran for president. You can pull up cases from as far back as 1997. I think some before that too. Give me a second. Yeah, Katie Johnson, 100%. I don't want like a whole bunch of like pieces pulled together. Okay, so along those lines, let's listen to parts of the president's deposition with regard to E. Jean Carroll. Oh, geez. Oh, wait. There's a couple.
Did you care about any of the underage minor females at the time when you were engaging in sexual conduct with them?
Do you have any remorse for your actions against these victims?
So this is 22. So do you hear me? This is 2010. Sorry, this is 2010 when this is happening. The document that I was just reading to you is from those depositions. What's up, So Sonia? Appreciate you. Hello, everybody. So I'm going to put the link to all of these documents in my link tree for you so that you can go through them at your leisure. There are more than 20,000 of them. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of these because some of this can be very, very triggering for people. But they put initials, right? What's up, Mohammed Skake? So for example, LM, it says in this deposition, was 13 years old, touching her, you know what, with hands and a device. She was personally essayed by Jeffrey, more than 50 times. That is 50. 50. the thing that I really want you all to, yeah, I know, Rachel, I have that court case here. So one of the things that was released was, hold on, let me pull this up. So look at me, I've got it like saved. So this is the grand jury testimony from the 2006 case where he had a plea deal, and Alex Acosta, the guy that is between Clarence and Matt Gaetz, gave him that sweetheart deal where he went home and wore an ankle monitor and got to come and go as he pleased and all the things. You all remember that, right? And then Donald Trump turned around and made him an attorney general, Alex Acosta. So they had to fight to get the 2006 grand jury testimony unsealed. Yeah, I know, Vision. That's Katie Johnson. And it didn't go to court because she and her family were absolutely terrified because they received so many threats. Because she got doxxed. They had to move. But if you want to watch her deposition, you can on YouTube. I can't play it on TikTok. I can't play it on TikTok because it's so graphic. I don't know what people get out of trying to minimize the severity of what has happened. Like, okay, so let me just tell you part of this. Here, I'm going to show you guys over here on the Tube of You and the Book of Faces. I'm going to try to show this to you. Let me see if you can see it over there. There we go. So you guys can see it says Exhibit A Composite, and it's the clerk notes and the transcript of the grand jury testimony. As I scroll through this, one of the things that you will see is the clerk notes, like it says grand jury 7/19/2006, and then it says crimes against children investigation. And then it says 9/14/12, right? We're on the record. 9/14/18, there was direct examination. When involved in the case, when they became in case, how did the case come to BP Palm Beach Police Department? What, and it's redacted, what did so-and-so thought was going on? And then it lists so-and-so had smecks for money with man from Palm Beach, fight with so-and-so, where so-and-so was interviewed. Like it's all of this. And when you get down through here, they do Jeffrey's full name, where was his house, went to the back door. Jeffrey and the assistant lady came to the back door. Assistant lady, which we know who that is Glenn, walked out up the stairs, right? Lady told Rick to keep bra and panties on. Jeffrey laid down on his belly. Like it's just all laid out in this 2006 deposition. I mean, grand jury testimony. It outlines everything that they asked to do and that they asked these young girls to do. And I think it's really important when we talk about these people that we say girls. Do not say females under the age of 18. No, you say girls because they're girls. They're minors. Period. They are minors. They're not women. They're not young women. They are girls. And every bit of this. Now, when you get, these are just the clerk's notes where she's notating what the testimony is. But then when you get further down in here, you get into the actual grand jury proceedings. If you're on the Tube of You or on Facebook, you can actually see the document that I'm sharing. And it says Wednesday, July 19th, 2006, grand jury room, Palm Beach County Courthouse, 9:14 a.m. to 12:52 p.m. It's very specific. And it tells you who all the people are, who's being recalled to testify, who's included in it, all the things. And it goes all the way through all of it. So let me just do this. Hey, Vision, I'm going to go ahead and bring you up to the panel. Yes, Acosta gave him the deal of a lifetime, 100%. So, Vision, are you able to accept the invitation that I gave you? Right. Children, to be exact. Damn it, stop sharing again. Yeah, Vision, it doesn't look like you did. So this is going to be my question for someone like Vision, who says, Katie Johnson filed multiple times. It never went to court. She just uploaded the docs to the internet. I guess my first question is, what's the purpose of that comment? That's my question, is what's the purpose of that comment? Because what it sounds like, what it seems is that you are questioning the validity of her claim because there wasn't a court case. That's what it sounds like. And I'm sure that that's not what you're doing. Hey, Mike. I'm sure that that couldn't possibly be what you're doing. So I just want to be very clear about something, folks. These documents have been out on the internet for a long time for people to look at, okay? For people to read, grand jury testimony, convictions, all the things. It's there, right? All of it is here for you to read what people have said. And I'm just going to tell you my thoughts around this. Here's what we know. We know that rich people, really, really rich and powerful people, they hang out together, right? You can't convince me that Bill Clinton or Donald Trump rode on Jeffrey's plane and did not know what he was doing. You just can't convince me of that. And even if you weren't for sure, you at least heard the rumors. Now, Jeffrey says in his emails from yesterday that of course Trump knew. He said, of course he knew. He asked Ghislaine to stop because Ghislaine was recruiting girls from Mar-a-Lago. So if Dani is asking Ghislaine, right, to stop recruiting from Mar-a-Lago, that means he knows they're being recruited to go with Jeffrey. It's in the emails. How much clearer can you be? Like, it's absolutely wild to me that people even think that there's something else to talk about. And the trove of documents that are in here are just beyond me. Like, here, let me see. I'm going to share my screen with you guys right here. Hopefully you guys can see this. It will share, hopefully. All right, now I'm just going to go through some of these images, and I know you guys can't see on TikTok. But the picture that everybody keeps showing that has Donald, Melania, Jeffrey, and Ghislaine, that picture, in that picture at that same event is the picture with Donald, Melania, and Prince Andrew. And Ghislaine is two people off to the side, and Jeffrey is in the background in his blue shirt. They took all of those things at the same time. Right? And it's important that everyone, yeah, there are over 20,000 pages. And these are not from the files. These are just from the estate. I'm not going to make any assumptions about Melania. Why would I do that? I don't need to say Melania was something without knowing, because there are enough girls that we know, right? I don't have to speculate about Melania. I can just stick to the girls that we know. We can just stick to the 40 just from the 2006 case, girls that are under the age of 18. We can just stick to them. We don't got to go any further and speculate about anybody else. I'm trying to get through this book that they've got all the images in here. Yeah, that's a document from the, yeah, I'm just saying. I really think that it's important that people have a moment with yourself. Right. According to one of the emails, Donald spent several hours at Jeffrey's house with one of the victims. Yeah, 100%. Oh, bless it. Hold on, I got to fix this. Oh, Marvin, I don't know. Like I said, there's 20,000 documents in here. I haven't gone through 20,000 documents since yesterday. Right? I definitely have not. Which one is this? Let me see. I want to go to, so there's a particular one that I am interested in. And unfortunately, these are just, oh shit. Okay, so I want to get to because these are additional court documents from depositions. Yeah, it's going to take time to go through all of these. If he was on the list, why come out of the, I don't know what you're saying. Why come out of the what and use it? I'm not sure what you're asking, Jason. Jason, I'm not sure what you're asking. Yes, Marvin, the Oversight Committee's documents. Sure. Did anybody see Jason clarify what he's asking? She was. Nancy Mace was crying. Correct. Well, they weren't legally employed. They were just offered a couple $100. And of course, they thought that they would become models. No, what? Vision, you're back. So come on up here, Vision. Come to the panel, because you think you're just going to stay down there in the comments and be distracting, but you're not. You're either going to join the panel or you're going to get muted or booted. So are you coming or what? Let's go, Vision. Where are you, Vision? You're at work. Well, I mean, if you can type, you can talk. If you can type, you can talk. Right? Dawn, why wouldn't they? So some of them have spoken up. Some of them absolutely have spoken up, and then they were doxxed, and then their lives were threatened, and then they had to move. Aren't they though, Sonny? It's crazy. There are so many. So I want some of you women to listen just a second, right? I want you all to listen for just a second. How many of you all have had an inappropriate comment said to you by a male supervisor at work, a male manager, a CEO, an executive? How many of you have ever had an inappropriate comment said? And how many of you did not report it because you didn't want to make a stir at work, you didn't want to be questioned about it, you thought you didn't want to lose your job, you didn't want to become a problem for the office? Now, I want you to think about that. And now imagine if the person who done those things to you was the fucking president of the United States and could literally disappear you. Just imagine. It's crazy to me when people say, well, why, if there were people that were victims of Donald, why not just say something? I want you to just stop for a moment. Are you ready for your entire life to become publicly available to everyone? Are you ready for the entire world to dig through anything you've ever done in your existence? Right? Can you imagine? So I really want people to stop and think about this for a moment. Right. And your entire family and your friends. Right? Are you ready for them to interview everybody that knew you when you were 14, 15? Anybody that knew you in college? Do you all remember when they were trying to make a big deal out of AOC's video of her dancing in college? Do y'all remember? And it was nothing. I think, I think we forget that this is very much and this is what is changing. This has been a very patriarchal world and society that we live in. And in many ways, that is changing. The minorities together outnumber them. Whether it's the Black and brown people, whether it's the women, whether it's the LGBTQ plus, you know what I mean? It's just like the minorities are outnumbering, and there is beginning to be a shift in the power dynamic in this country and around the world, quite frankly. And that is why many of the things that used to be out in front with everybody are changing. It is why the views are changing. Veils are dropping. Yes, Amy, and they are scared AF. They scared. They not just scared, they scared. Y'all know there's a difference between being scared and being scared. There's a difference. Just saying, there is a difference. It is absolutely wild. Let me see how many of these there are. Okay, I already read that one. Oh yeah, I forgot. So I want you all to remember that one of these other emails, I forgot that he'd said this. Jeffrey actually said in 2017 to former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers. This is what Jeffrey said, y'all. Quote, "I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body." Oh, Vision, I told you either come up or you're going to go away. So, bye. Man up, son. Do you all remember that? Yeah. I just, whoop, bye, boy. He had enough chances to bring himself on up here. Yeah. Can you imagine being Jeffrey and saying, I've met some very bad people. Dude, if you are the measure of other people's bad, like, that's just crazy. Jeffrey said about Trump, Jeffrey said, quote, I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. I just, right. It's just really important that all of this get put into context. Yeah, he says Trump, he says Donald is the worst person he's ever met. And that's saying something coming from him, right? It's just astounding to me. Yep. And a lot of it. So, and here's my thing, guys. People can say, well, why did they time it to put these documents out now? You know why? Because they want a vote about releasing all of the files that the DOJ has. Because everything that we are seeing belongs to Jeffrey's estate. All of this isn't even what the DOJ has. Can you imagine what they have? I just wonder how many people really truly understand. Yeah, Trek, I do. Yeah, but this information is from Jeffrey's estate. This ain't even the stuff that they were going to use to prosecute, or that they did use to prosecute Ghislaine. This is not just this is, do you understand all the evidence they had to federally indict Jeffrey? This ain't that. Alaikum salam. Well, they'll redact some of it, Rebel, for the victims, but then those victims will have the ability to come forward if they want. Yeah, this is just bonus. It's just really important for people to put this into the context. Let me see. Hold on. Not me being very grateful that I kept this active, but I am right now. Give me 1 second, y'all. Because I got to grab this verification code real quick. Because I'm a big believer in, give me a second. So what I did is save a copy of all of these files for me. Hello, Raja. By the way, you guys, Raja's daughter graduated with 94% on her test. So she graduated. Can you imagine being in the middle of a G-side and still graduating with 94%? She did. She did. So, just so everybody knows. All right. Okay. Yeah, well, but Brian, here's my thing. So Brian says, well, what does that say about the people that flock to Trump if Jeffrey says he's the worst human being he's ever met, right? He says, well, what does that say about them? What do those people see that say, that's my kind of guy? I don't think that that's what it is, Brian. I think they look at, it's the proximity to power and money that they look at. That's what I believe. I believe it is the proximity.
And by the early 1990s.
So I don't know that I want to do. This is a long one, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. Do you guys want to hear any of how many of you guys have watched the video of Trump's deposition in the E. Jean Carroll case? How many of you all have actually seen that deposition? So lots of people know. No, partially. All right. So you know that, let me see if I can do it like this. Right, Brian, blinded by the dollars, 100%. All right. So I'm going to play a little bit of it and we'll decide when we're done and if we want to talk about it. How does that sound, you guys? Does that sound okay? So let's play it.
And by the early 1990s, would it be fair to call you or to characterize you as a real estate tycoon?
Yeah.
Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, that was completed in 1983?
Around that time, yes.
And when did you move into your penthouse apartment there?
Maybe a year later.
And that remained your primary residence until you were elected president, correct?
That's right.
And Trump Tower, where's Trump Tower located?
They get me, TikTok gets me if I share it with you.
And at some point, you became
I'm
the owner of the
streaming
Plaza
it
Hotel
on the
in New
Book
York,
of Faces and the Tube of You.
Yes.
And where's the Plaza Hotel located?
59th off Fifth Avenue.
And for how long were you the owner with Ron? During what years were you the owner of the Plaza Hotel?
I don't know these, about 5 years.
Do you know when it began? When you bought it?
In the early 90s.
Now, in the 80s and 90s, is it fair to say you had a busy social life?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you'd have to define social life. I wouldn't say that busy. I was working very hard, so I didn't have time to be too much onto the social calendar, but yeah.
Well, let me try to phrase it this way. In the evenings during that period, you went out quite a bit in New York City to benefits, galas, etc.
A lot of charity events, yes, but I don't think that much. No.
So, in the period, in the 80s and 90s, we've already discussed you would go to benefits and parties, and
Monica, it's something else, isn't
those
it?
parties, there would be or benefits, there would be kind of a photography line either at the beginning or throughout the event.
Yes.
And then people would take photographs like Getty Images and then put them up. And this is another Getty Images printout. And is it fair to say that this document indicates that you were the Grand Marshal of the New York City Veterans Day Parade on November 10, 1995 in New York City?
Yes.
Similarly true that during this same period, you made appearances on television, correct?
Yes.
Sitting here today, can you recall any TV interviews that you did that you remember?
I did everything.
When you say everything, give me some examples if you can.
I did the
This is
late
his
night
E. Jean
shows.
Carroll
I
deposition.
did the newscasts. I even did some of the
It
political
was for E.
shows
Jean
on
Carroll.
Sunday, even though I wasn't really in politics as I am now. But they wanted me to do that, and I did that. They'd ask me to do them all the time.
That's in here
So
too,
I did quite a
DJ.
bit of television.
I think you already answered this question, but just so the record is clear, did you watch the program Good Morning America from time to time in this period of the late 1980s through the mid 1990s?
A little bit,
She's an attorney.
Did you appear on the Today Show during this period?
yes,
Same question, did you watch the Today Show during this period?
a little bit.
During this period, did you have any friends
Peggy, no, she
in
doesn't.
the television industry? Who worked in the television industry?
Probably. I wasn't much involved at that point in the television industry, but I probably did.
Anyone come to mind right now?
Maybe Bob Wright.
Who's Bob Wright?
He was the head of NBC, I think, at that time.
Imagine being able
It's
to
gonna
build
give
an
me
app
an
with your name on
ad
it
for like
just by
5
thinking about
seconds.
it. Meet Base 44.
What about Roger Ailes? When did you become friends with Roger?
Later.
Approximately.
Chili.
More in the
Okay, Amy.
7-8 year ago period.
What years were you married to your first wife, Ivana Trump?
So about 78 to the early 90s.
Your
Stacey D.
your next wife was a woman by the name of Marla Maples.
Right.
And sitting here today, do you recall what years you were married to Ms. Maples?
I don't know, Virgo.
I'd have to get the exact dates for you. I can do that very easily.
In the course of your dating life and your married life, did you have occasion to buy gifts for women you were seeing?
Not much, actually.
Not much. He didn't buy gifts that much for
I
people.
mean, if it was a birthday or something, I guess, yeah.
If it was her
other than
birthday or something, I guess.
did you buy gifts for women you were dating?
I mean, it's possible, but I don't think very much, no.
I take it you bought gifts for your wives for their birthdays.
Yes, generally.
And I take it you bought gifts for women you were dating.
It's, probable.
At least in your first marriage, you were
45
seeing
minutes.
women outside of your marriage while you were married, correct?
I don't know.
Well, you were very public about the fact that you were seeing Ms. Maples when you were still married to Ivana Trump, no?
No, I don't think I was public about it.
Well,
No.
there were many articles about it at the time, correct?
No, I don't think I was public about it. But if,
But he was.
no, I don't think I was public about it at all.
Yeah, isn't it true that you were seeing Ms. Maples before you were divorced from Ivana Trump?
I don't know. It was toward the end of the marriage, so I don't know really. It could be a lap over, but I don't really know.
Did you ever have occasion to go to the department store Bergdorf Goodman?
Very rarely.
You say very rarely. Can you give me more detail? How rarely?
I mean,
Crazy.
almost for me, almost never. I would very rarely go there.
When you went there, what do you recall shopping for?
I don't know. It's possible I was there, but I don't know that I ever shopped there for myself.
So when you shopped there for yourself, to the extent you went there, you were shopping for others?
I don't think I ever shopped for others. It's possible that
He never shopped for others.
one or both of my wives shopped there a little bit, but I don't remember ever buying something for myself at Bergdorf Goodman. I went there very seldom, if ever.
Then let's limit it to Bergdorf's. Bergdorf's was pretty close to Trump Tower and very close to the Plaza Hotel, correct?
That's right.
I'm handing you a document that's been marked as DJT 18. It bears the Bates range, Carol 24378 through
Very romantic, Kelsey.
24385. You have that in front of you?
Yeah.
Sitting here today, do you recognize this document?
No.
I will represent to you that this is the excerpt from Ms. Carroll's book that was published in New York Magazine online originally online on June 21, 2019.
Okay.
At any point in time, did you read this article?
Excuse me?
Did you ever read this article? This
No, I don't believe I did.
I'm giving you a book. It's marked as DJT 19. It's a book by E. Jean Carroll. It says, "What do we need men for?" And
Y'all are
if
funny.
you look at the publication date, it says first edition, July 2019. Do you have that? You have that book in front of you. I'm sitting here today, sir. Have you ever read either this book in its entirety or any portion of this book?
Nope, never have. I've never seen the book.
Okay. You responded
thank you.
publicly to Ms. Carroll's allegations on the same day that the excerpt was published in New York Magazine, which was June 21, 2019, correct?
I think so.
Let's take a look at that. So what we've handed,
So I want to be clear. He never read the article or the excerpt from her book that was published in the article. But on the same day that the article was run and her book quote was in it, he posted about her. What?
you, as DJT20, is a blown up, for legibility purposes, version of a tweet posted by a woman by the name of Laura Litvin at 5:17 p.m. on June 21st, 2019. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes.
The statement that is in this tweet, is this a statement that you gave?
I mean, essentially, that's what I said. Yeah.
If you could read that statement into the record. It says, statement from President Donald J. Trump. Regarding the quote story, unquote, by E. Jean Carroll, claiming she once encountered me at Bergdorf Goodman 23 years ago, I've never met this person in my life. She's trying to sell a new book that should indicate her motivation. It should be sold in the fiction section. Shame on those who make up false stories of assault to try to get publicity for themselves or sell a book or carry out a political agenda, like Julie Swetnick, who falsely accused Justice Brett Kavanaugh. It's just as bad for people to believe it, particularly when there is zero evidence. We're still for a dying publication to try to prop itself up by peddling fake news. It's an epidemic. Ms. Carroll in New York Magazine, no pictures, no surveillance, no videos, no reports, no sales attendants around, question mark. I would like to thank Bergdorf Goodman for confirming they have no video footage of any such incident because it never happened. False accusations diminish the severity of real assault. All should condemn false accusations and any actual assault in the strongest possible terms. If anyone has information that the Democratic Party is working with Ms. Carroll or New York Magazine, please notify us as soon as possible. The world should know what's really going on. It's a disgrace, and people should pay dearly for such false accusations. So that's what you have in front of you?
Yeah.
And I think you've already confirmed that this is a statement that you gave to someone on your staff to give to the press.
Yeah.
Let's mark as DJT21, a document bearing the base range. DJT21, this is the next
We're
one.
listening to Trump's deposition in the E. Jean Carroll case.
MP 1795 through MP, I've got it, just a second.
Oh,
Through
shit, it went away for you guys.
MP 1807. You have that in front of you?
Yeah.
And these are still were put out when you were president of the United States?
Yeah.
And if you look at the top email, kind of the address of the email, it says under that, remarks by President Trump before Marine One departure.
Yes.
Marine One is a helicopter.
Yes.
And if you look where it shows you speaking about halfway or 2/3 of the way down the document, it says, the very first thing you say, so we're going to Camp David.
Yes.
So am I correct in interpreting this as this is a statement you made while boarding or getting on to Marine One
Looks like it.
to go to Camp David?
It looks like it.
Okay. Let's go now to the third statement, which we're going to mark as, this one I can do, D222.
Yes. This was during the
You
Aging
have in
Carol
front of
case
you,
just 2 years ago.
Sir, a document, 5-page document. The first page says in bold type, exclusive, Trump vehemently denies E. Jean Carroll allegations, says she's not my type. It's from a publication known as The Hill. It's dated June 24th, 2019.
She's not my type.
And it's attributed to the gentleman, Jordan Fabian, and or maybe not be gentleman, but it's attributed to 2 people, Jordan Fabian and Cigar and Genti. See that?
Yes.
I know, Cheryl. It does.
So this is 2 days after the last statement we're looking at, which was on June 22nd. Do you recall having an interview with reporters from The Hill on June 24th, 2019?
Vaguely, yes.
And do you recall where that interview took place?
Can we pause for just a moment for people to take this in? So this is the deposition 2 years ago that Donald Trump is giving with regard to E. Jean Carroll. Hey, Wadme. And I need you all to just sit with the fact. Can you imagine being accused of committing SA against someone, alaikum salam, Muhammad OS, and your response to that allegation is, she's not my type? Can you imagine that being your response to being accused of SAing someone? Because you would think that your response would be, absolutely not. That is a horrendous thing. I would never do that. I would, right? Like you would think that your initial reaction would be an outright denial of those accusations, right? Not, she's not my type, as if she's not your type is the reason this thing could not have occurred. You got it? You know what I mean? It's just wild. Right. I needed to pause so that we could take just a moment to take that in. You know what I mean? So here we go.
I think it was in the Oval Office.
And you're quoted just below that paragraph as saying as follows, and this one I'll read. I'll say it with great respect. Number 1, she's not my type. Number 2, it never happened. It never happened, okay? And then the reporters say, the president said while seated behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. See that?
Yes.
Get water.
And the statement that I just read that begins, I'll say it with great respect. That was a statement that you made to the reporters for The Hill on June 24, 2019, correct?
Yes.
And same set of questions. I take it, sir, that you stand by that statement today?
Yes, it is.
So before you made your statements that it never happened in 2019, did you or anyone on your staff reach out to anyone at Bergdorf Goodman?
I didn't have to reach out to anybody because it didn't happen. And by the way, if it did happen, it would have been reported within minutes. Talking about going to a major floor, probably, I assume, the most important floor, a major floor in a major department store. That's a very busy store, by the way.
But it's a store he's never been in.
Checkout counters and everything else. And I would be in there. I mean, it's the most ridiculous, disgusting story. It was just made up.
After you made the statements that you made in June of 2019, did you or anyone working for you reach out to Bergdorf Goodman?
After the statement was made, no.
In your June 21 statement that's marked as Exhibit 20, you say,
thank you to Bergdorf.
and this is the Litvin tweet, I never met this person in my life.
Yes.
Was that a true statement when you made it on June 21, 2019?
It was a true statement when I made it. I think subsequently or at some point they showed a picture on a receiving. I was on a celebrity line for a charity. And I think I was either shaking her hand or her husband's hand on a receiving line.
Right.
I shake a lot of hands with people, but I had no idea who she was.
So if I can understand your testimony, sir, you're saying that at the time you made the statement that's in DJT 20, you were not aware of ever having met Ms. Carroll. You have since seen a photograph that shows you with Ms. Carroll on a receiving line.
Along with a lot of other people. This was a very public, I think it was a charity or a celebrity event or something. And I think that's her
Okay, so let's.
big claim to fame, that she shook my hand at some celebrity event.
So the answer to my question is yes, that after you made the statement, you became aware that there's a photo of you with Ms. Carroll in a
Yes.
receiving line,
At
correct?
some point,
Okay.
I saw there was a photo on a receiving line, yes.
Okay.
Let's mark the photo. What number are we at? What? You have in front of you a black and white photograph that we've marked as DJT 23. And I'm going to ask you, is this the photo that you were just referring to?
I think so, yes.
And do you recall when you first saw this photo?
At some point during the process, I saw it. That's, I guess, her husband, John Johnson, who was an anchor for ABC. Nice guy, I thought. I mean, I don't know him, but
Rebel,
thought
I
he
would
was pretty
imagine
good at
they
what he
did. But he's not
I don't
someone
even know
that
who the
you
woman-
prep
let's see,
and
I
he
don't
stays
know who-
on script.
It's Marla.
You're saying Marla's in this photo?
I want you all to listen. This is when he is calling E. Jean Carroll in this photo, Marla Maples. I need you to just listen to this part right here, because in this part, he's looking at the photo and he's describing the photo, and he literally calls E. Jean Carroll his ex-wife. So it would appear she's his type, but just listen.
But I had no idea who she was.
So if I can understand your testimony, sir, you're saying that at the time you made the statement that's in DJT 20, you were not aware of ever having met Ms. Carroll. You have since seen a photograph that shows you
Right.
with Ms. Carroll on a receiving line.
Along with a lot of other people. This was a very public, I think it was a charity or a celebrity event or something. And I think that's her
Okay, so let's.
big claim to fame, that she shook my hand at some celebrity event.
So the answer to my question is yes, that after you made the statement, you became aware that there's a photo of you with Ms. Carroll in a receiving line,
At
correct?
some point,
Okay,
I saw there was a photo on a receiving line, yes.
okay. Let's
listen.
mark the photo. What number are we at? What?
Now they put the photo in front of him just now.
You have in front of you a black and white photograph that we've marked as DJT 23. And I'm going to ask you, is this the photo that you were just referring to?
I think so, yes.
And do you recall when you first saw this photo?
Okay,
At
I
some
will
point
show
during
you
the
all this
process, I
part.
saw
Hold
it.
on. I'll show you all this part. Okay. So let me show you. Because they hand him the video, that picture, I mean. Okay, do you guys see it? Can you guys see it over here? Okay, good. Here we go. You ready?
On a receiving line.
Along with a lot of other people. This was a very public, I think it was a charity or a celebrity event or something. And I think that's her
Okay, so let's.
big claim to fame, that she shook my hand at some celebrity event.
So the answer to my question is yes, that after you made the statement, you became aware that there's a photo of you with Ms. Carroll in a receiving line,
At
correct?
some point,
Okay,
I saw there was a photo on a receiving line, yes.
okay. Let's mark the photo. What number are we at? What? You have in front of you a black and white photograph that we've marked as DJT23. And I'm going to ask you, is this the photo that you were just referring to?
I think so, yes.
And do you recall when you first saw this photo?
At some point during the process, I saw it. That's, I guess, her husband, John Johnson, who was an anchor for ABC. Nice guy. I thought, I mean, I don't know him, but I thought he was pretty good at what he did. I don't even know who the woman, let's say, I don't know who, it's Marla.
You say Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla, yeah. That's my wife.
Which woman are you pointing to? No.
Here. Oh,
The person you just pointed to was
I
Jean
see.
Carroll.
Who is that? Who is this?
And the woman on the right is your then wife,
I don't know.
Ivana?
This was the picture. I assume that's John Johnson. Is that
That's Carol.
Carol? Because it's very blurry.
Now, in your June 21 statement,
Yeah. So he
Which
literally
is-
pointed to E. Jean Carroll and said, "Yeah, that's my wife."
in your June 21 statement, which is DJT,
And then all of a sudden the picture becomes blurry. It ain't blurry,
you
bro.
said that Ms. Carroll was trying to sell a new book, and that you said shame on those who make up false stories of assault to try to get
Well, his
publicity
other wife
for
is behind
themselves and
him.
sell a book.
100%.
That's right.
Before you made that statement, did you have any
Yeah.
knowledge, one way or the other, of the financial arrangements between Ms. Carroll and the publisher of her book?
No,
Did you even know who her publisher was?
no,
Had you ever seen her book contract?
no,
Did you know anything about Ms. Carroll's financial situation?
no,
So
Did you know
listen.
anything about her expected book sales?
no idea.
Before you made the statement that appears in DJT 20, do you know whether you or anyone working for you did any research on Ms. Carroll?
I just don't know. It's possible somebody.
Of course they did.
When they heard this horrible accusation, it's possible that somebody did a little quick research, but not that I know of.
Of course they did research.
Another thing that you say in your June 21 statement is that Ms. Carroll was trying to carry out a political agenda.
Yeah.
Before issuing your statement on June 21, did you learn what political party Ms. Carroll
No.
belonged?
So I do want to say this. You guys were talking about, well, he sees women as furniture. There is a video where Donald Trump is being interviewed. And I believe he has, it's either Ivana or Marla sitting beside him. And in this video, the reporter is talking about how, no, this is the video after that, but she's talking about how he's made her famous and kind of whatever. And he actually says, after this, I'll try to see if I can find the video for you. He actually says, appreciate that, Energized. He actually says he views women almost like a real estate deal, right? He likes to fix them up and whatever. And then after that, he kind of loses interest. That's literally what he says about women and his wives. Give me a second. I will see if I can find it for you so that you can hear him say that. Because when I heard it, I was like, that's so gross. Like, so damn gross. But yeah, that's what he said.
I didn't know that.
Before you issued your June 21 statement, did you have any documents indicating that she was pursuing a political agenda?
No.
This is crazy.
At the end of your statement, your June 21 statement, you say, if anyone has information that the Democratic Party is working with Ms. Carroll or New York Magazine, please notify us as soon as possible. Did anyone ever notify you?
I don't know.
Sitting here today, you can't recall anyone who notified you?
I don't know, yeah.
One of the other things that you said about Ms. Carroll at the time appears in your June 24 statement, which is DJT 22. And what you said there is, I'll say with great respect, number one, she's not my type.
I think I found it.
When you said that Ms. Carroll was not your type, you meant that she was not your type physically, right?
I saw her in a picture. I didn't know what she looked like.
I saw her in a picture.
And I said it, and I say it with as much respect as I can, but she is not my type.
But you just
And
thought your
again,
wife
when you
was
say
her.
type, you just refer to looking at photos. So you mean physically she's not your type?
Physically, she's not my type. And now that I've gotten indirectly to hear things about her, she wouldn't be my type in any way, shape, or form.
But when you were talking back on June 24th, you were referring to her not being your type physically.
I saw a photo of her.
Yeah, somebody else said that too,
And
Lisa.
the only difference between me and other people is I'm honest. She's not my type.
I take it the three women you've married are all
your type.
Yeah.
What is True Social?
It's a platform that's been opened by me as an alternative to Twitter.
And your handle on True Social is at Real Donald Trump?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now, on October 12th, just a few days ago, you issued a statement on True Social about Ms. Carroll in this case, correct?
Sure
I
did.
believe so, yes.
And the statement that you posted, who wrote that statement?
I did.
You yourself?
Yeah.
Did you post the statement yourself?
Yes.
And in addition to posting the statement on True Social, you also sent it to the press.
Yes. It's called Truth and Post. We post much like, how would you say it? We put out a statement and we also put it on Truth.
Okay, let's look at the statement. Let's mark it as,
Crazy.
what's my next number? 28. DJT 28. Okay, so this one,
I can't read this.
well, we have a blown up version. Let's mark it as 28 and 28A.
Same guy.
So what we have in front of you is DJT 28, sir, is the post as it appeared on True Social on October 12, 2022, and a blown up version, because we appreciate the reading. The type is very small, a blown up version that should be more legible. Do you have
I
both
can
of those?
see it, yeah.
So it says October 12th, 2022, statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America.
No, Andrea.
This, quote, Ms. Bergdorf Goodman case is a complete con job. And our legal system in this country, and our legal system in this country, but especially in New York State, just look at Peekaboo James, is a broken disgrace.
So if you all remember this Truth Social post, because I do, refers to Attorney General Letitia James as Peekaboo James. And the reason why this was such a big deal and so important is because it is super close to a racial slur used to describe Black people, right? You all know the reference that I'm talking to. They rhyme with each other. And that was a big deal. He did it more than once, a lot of times, several times, and everybody talked about this when it happened. Yes, and that's exactly what the other word is. It's the jig and then the boo, right? And so he refers to her as Peekaboo. And this is why. So listen, this is an example for people that will say, I've never heard Donald Trump say anything racist. You just did. You just might not know because it's a dog whistle. That is a dog whistle for Black and brown people everywhere. We know exactly what he was saying when he said it. And that, my friends, is the difference between overt racism and covert racism. Just so that everybody gets it, right? When many people say, why do you say he's racist? Because of shit like that. Because we know the dog whistles when we hear them. The same way we hear the thugs, right? The same way our 17-year-old boys are men. We know the same way when Brock Turner is shown. You see his college or his senior graduation picture, but when Black and brown kids are shown or college, you see their mugshots. We understand the difference. And it's really important that other people begin to look and know what the dog whistles are and what they sound like. If you knew them and if you know them, then you would have no questions about how race played into the last election and into the politics of the last 12 years. You would have no question whatsoever. And it's important that people really know that. If you are not familiar with the Southern strategy, how many of you all are not familiar with the Southern strategy or Lee Atwater? How many of you guys don't know the Southern strategy or Lee Atwater? Oh, wow. A lot of you don't. Okay, we're going to pause in the deposition for a second to go over something that's really, really important. Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was just requesting a boost.
Oh.
Yeah, it's something I heard about that helps.
Yes, it does. Yeah, very much so. Okay, thanks, Lisa. All right, so listen, folks, I'm going to pull this up. TikTok, I am going to let you read the transcript while you see it. So let me just tell you that Lee Atwater was a very, very prominent and successful political consultant for the Republican Party. He worked under Nixon, Reagan, like all of them. Like he was it. He did an interview. Give me a second, and I'm going to pull it up for you. He did an interview, I believe in 1981. Yep. As soon as I pulled it up, it said 1981. So he did an interview in 1981 with, oh my God. Hold on. I got to get the name of the dude. Give me 1 second. By the way, he's from South Carolina. Don't know if you all knew that or not.
Yeah, well, Dani is pulling that up. Michael DeBoss once said something to me. It stuck with me.
Ooh.
He said that dog whistles are not for Black people, and dog whistles are not for those those overt races that are just blatantly racist. They're for the people in the middle that like their racism a little milquetoast.
Yeah.
They want it covert and nice so they can look at themselves in the mirror with their racism.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it is not for us. We hear it and recognize it. It is for those people that you find it disgusting when people show up with tiki torches or white hoods, right? But you're perfectly okay with all lives matter. Okay? Like that's like one of the best ways that I could say it to you.
Perfect. That's yeah, absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So because all lives matter isn't outright whatever, right? That's the difference between the two. Okay. So Lee Atwater was South Carolina's most effective Republican operative. And in 1981, he was working with Ronald Reagan in the White House. And he was interviewed by Alexander Lamas, who was a political scientist at Case Western Reserve University. And in 1984, he wrote a book, Lamas did, called The Two-Party South. And he published that book in 1984 with this quote in it, but he did not use Lee Atwater's name. And the reason he did not use Lee Atwater's name is because when you hear it, Lee Atwater says this is off the record. So he includes it in his book, but he does not include Lee Atwater's name. Okay. So fast forward 15 years later, and it's 8 years after Atwater has passed away from cancer, Alexander Lamas republishes this interview in a different book, and this time he uses Lee Atwater's name. And for a long time, nobody paid attention until in 2005. In 2005, the New York Times' Bob Herbert, who is like kind of obsessed with Lee Atwater, he quoted it in an October 2005 column in the New York Times, and then 5 more times over the next 4 years. And so then all of a sudden it's being quoted everywhere. And then people were saying, oh, no, he didn't really say that. And because of it, his wife was asked, would she consider releasing the entire audio so that people could hear the context of what he said? Okay. Because there was a lot happening in 2012. So I just want you all, that's the background. Okay. And this is the actual interview. And because the audio is not great, I'm going to show you all, I'm going to take down my background and I'm going to show you the actual text of the article so that you can read it while you hear it. He is being asked, how does the Republican Party win the votes of racists without sounding racist themselves? And this is the answer, okay? Give me one moment. All right. Sorry, people. Trying to do multiple things at once on multiple platforms. I want to make sure that they can see this. Restream is going to make me stop using them and use something else. It says it's unable to share the screen. Sorry, guys. It just is. For you guys over here, I'm going to flip my camera around so that you can hear it, okay, and see it. So this is the Southern strategy.
Here's how I would approach that issue as a statistician or a political scientist, or no, as a psychologist, which I'm not, is how abstract you handle the race thing. In other words, you start out, and now y'all aren't quoting me on this. You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts your backfire. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you get so abstract now, you're talking about cutting taxes and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing, and a hell of a lot more abstract than never, you know.
So I have played that clip quite a few times, and I've talked to people about Lee Atwater, about the Republican Party. and about how I felt, like literally as a veteran, and hearing that and knowing that the person uttering those words was sitting in the White House when he uttered them. And he did not stumble over the N-word, right? He didn't stumble over it. It just, right? He just, right? It just flew right out of his mouth. And so when you understand that, you watch. So he took you just in that conversation. He took you through 1954 into the 1960s, the 1970s. He's being interviewed in 1981, right? So what did you have right after 1981? You had what? You had super predators and thugs under the Clinton administration, right? 3 strikes you're out, which absolutely devastated Black families everywhere. And then you go from super predator and thugs to today, where you have DEI, you have woke, you have critical race theory, you have all the damn things. So the things that they are saying today, when they say you're woke, or they say DEI, or they say all of those things, those are the dog whistles that have replaced the N-word and the busing and the super predator and the thug. I need you all to really like understand the evolution. Yeah, even America First is that. When you hear JD Vance and others talk about, or Pete Hegseth or Charlie Kirk or any of them say, when they start to talk about, here's a big one for you, when they talk about the heritage, when they say heritage, and they talk about people that are born here and their heritage and the heritage from the founding fathers, even Make America Great Again, absolutely. And so this is just an evolution of what they've always done. Now, I know that some of you guys who have been with me for a very long time, you already know this. But for those of you all that are new, how many of you all have never heard me, hey, Received Grace, have never heard me share the quote from Lindsey Graham in 2012? How many of you guys have never heard me quote Lindsey Graham and what he said in 2012? A lot of you all. Wow. Okay. All right. So let's talk about it. So we have seen a big shift in politics since President Obama became the president. Would everybody agree with that? And my next question would be, would you agree that since Barack Obama became the president, we've had more talk and more aggressive talk about race? Would you guys agree with that? Okay, they're all saying yes. Okay, so here's what happened. In 2012, the Republican National Convention is going on, and Mitt Romney is losing in the polls really badly, very badly, to Barack Obama. Okay. And Lindsey Graham is asked by the press, why is Mitt Romney losing to Barack Obama so badly? And Lindsey Graham's response was as follows: we are losing the demographics race. We are not generating enough angry white guys. That is a direct quote from Senator Lindsey Graham. we are not generating enough angry white guys. And I want you all to think about the rhetoric that has come from the Republican Party towards Black and brown people over the last 10 to 12 years. I want you to think about the rhetoric and the things that they said about Michelle Obama, especially during Barack Obama's second term, comparing her to an ape and a gorilla and all of that, right? Think about when they said they're taking your jobs, when they said, right, they're taking your houses, they're taking your jobs. They're indoctrinating your children. So it's very, very important that you all know that it has been intentional. It is not by happenstance. It is not just some weird culmination of events. It is by design. It is by design to create angry white men. And you saw it like come to a head on January 6th. That yes, Frodo, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, the dehumanization of them. They're sending their grapists, they're sending their criminals, they're sending their worst, they're emptying their jails, they're emptying, you hear that? It is intentional. And this is why it's so important to have these conversations. Because if you don't connect the dots, you don't realize how the world has been created around you and why. And when I connect the dots, I'm not saying all white people are horrible. That's crazy. I would never say that because it's not accurate, right? What I would say is that there has been an intentional agenda by a particular group of people that are predominantly white males, right? To stir up racial rhetoric in this country. And contrary to what people believe, not talking about it does not make it go away. And I'm going to give you a real example of that. It became very politically and socially incorrect to talk about race after the civil rights movements, right? It was, hey, we're all integrated. Everything is great. We're not pointing out what people are. We're not talking publicly about it. Right? Now, whatever Papa says at the dining room table, we just let Papa say it. Right? And so my question is, after 40 years, 50 years of being quiet, did it go away? No, it didn't go away. Because it doesn't heal when it's hidden. It does not heal when it's hidden. Now, so I had two older brothers. So I was a bit of a like rough and tumble kind of girl when I was growing up. Like I rode BMX bicycles, I raced BMX bikes, I climbed trees, I did all the things. Like we got pieces of board and set up like ramps and and you know, and I've wrecked my bike and had gravel like stuck in my knees and had to pull it out. I don't know if any of you all is like that, right? But that's how I was. Now, do you remember when you first like rinse your knees out, your wounds out and all the stuff? When you first do that, right? You put some Neosporin on it, okay? And then you're going to put a Band-Aid on it. After a while though, what do you have to do for it to heal, you got to take the Band-Aid off. Yes, Liam, you were supposed to rinse it off. You got to let that sucker breathe if you want it to heal. And it might be sore still, right? It might be sore still. It might hurt if you bump it on something, but it's got to be aired out. It is the same thing with all of the isms. It is the same thing with all of the isms. We have to air them out. We have to air them out, talk about them, understand where they come from, how they are developed, how they stick with us, and understand that your inherent biases, your inherent, prejudices don't make you a bad person, because we all have them. We all have them. It is our ability, though, to explore them, get to know them, so that when they come up, you go, oh, right? And you recognize it. Because then when you recognize it coming up, now you can do the work to undo it, right? That's what has to be done. It can't work, though, if every time somebody says something, you just go, yeah, you're just racist. That's not helpful. The immediate response people have to being called racist is defensiveness, right? Because nobody wants to be the tiki torch, white hooded triple K people. They want to be the covert, all lives matter. That's what they're comfortable with, right? So not understanding, not being willing to know who you are and to do the work, that is when, then I go, really? And Liam, when you say the people that will say, hell yeah, I am, I'm fine with those people, because at least they know it and they own it. It's the people that have the prejudices or the bigotry that don't want to own it that I take issue with, right? So I'm going to give you guys the name of a writer. She's an educator that I love. Her name is Debbie White, Debby. Debbie Irving. Sorry, I don't know why I said White. Jesus. Debbie Irving, Debby Irving. When you go to her website, she's got these little boxes up there. And the one that is my favorite, because it's so concise, it's so easy, is she has these 3 boxes that says, are prejudice, bigotry, and racism the same thing? And the answer is no, they are not. They are often used interchangeably, which is why language matters greatly, okay? But they're not the same thing. So prejudice is when we have a prejudgment about someone without getting to know them as a person, right? So an example of that would be, all of us do shit like this. You see a black person and you automatically assume they can dance. You see an Asian person and you automatically assume they're good at math. You see a white dude with a scraggly ass beard looking like he came off an episode of Duck Dynasty, and you assume he's racist. Right? Do y'all understand what I'm saying to you? These are prejudgments without getting to know the people. And everybody has them. Everybody has them. The key is knowing that when you have prejudices, those prejudgments, there's no power structure involved, right? No group has power in prejudice. All people have prejudice, but there's no power needed to exercise prejudice, okay? Next and there's no real negative intent. You're not trying to harm people. It's just your prejudgment. bigotry is like a step up from prejudice, and it does have some negative intent. It's that's the part where you go, black people are, commit more crimes, or black men are scary. This is when you grab your purse in the elevator, or you go to the other side of the sidewalk, or whatever, right? And there's a negativity to it where they can't walk their dog in your dog park, and right. And bigotry also, though, is possible for everyone to have. Everyone can have it. I know some black folk that are outright bigots. They can't stand white people. I know some that are bigots towards LGBTQIA people. 100%, right? But again, there's no power structure in bigotry. Okay? Now, up from bigotry is racism. Okay? And racism is different. Okay? Racism is when you are a bigot and you have the power to negatively impact the lives of people that you are bigoted towards, right? While at the same time elevating the people that belong to your group. And in the United States of America, the only racial group that has ever had that systemic power are white people, which is why you will oftentimes hear black people say, I can't be racist. And so what I'm sharing with you is they can't be, because they don't have the power structure, but they can be bigoted as fuck. Okay? They can be bigoted. They just can't be racist, because they don't have the power structure to withhold privilege from or oppress another group of people. Okay? Now, the key to this is, so everybody that has been in here and heard this, especially if you are white, right? This is the opportunity where you go, she said Debbie Irving, and then you go to Debbie Irving's website so that you can read the material that she has. I love the way she explains things. I love them because they're very just amazing, right? I'm glad, Cookie, right? This is where you go and you research the Southern strategy and you find out how it has impacted this country. You go and you look up the word, the quote from Lindsey Graham, and then you start to understand what they've been doing in our politics over the last 12 years and how much they have worked diligently, you all, to divide us. And this is the part, see, I get really excited about these types of conversations. You know how most people are like, don't talk about religion and politics and race. I'm the girl that's like, can we please talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Because it makes me excited. Without the conversations and without those conversations being intentional, right? You can't just talk about race for the sake of talking. You've got to have the intention of that conversation being productive, right? You got to have the intention of being productive in the conversations. Okay, so I hope that, I know we took a little detour from Trump's deposition, right? But it was an important detour for us to make because this is the president of the United States of America. And it's not hard to find the things that he has said, right? We know that he has said he has black people counting his money and he doesn't like it. We know that he has said he wants a Jewish person to be his accountant. That was Donald Trump that said that, right? And then people will make excuses and go, well, that's what he said a long time ago. Yeah, but just 2 years ago, he put on Truth Social that Letitia James was Peekaboo James, which was a dog whistle for jigaboo, which is a racial slur. So I understand that what he said 40 years ago, he's still saying today. He's just saying it in a different language. But the intent and the words mean the same. Okay? And this is where you've got to really challenge yourself to go beyond what you've thought. And I said this before, and I'm going to say this again. I put out a video a week or so ago, and I said to people that have been Republicans, you didn't know he said that? Oh, thanks, Sylvester. So yeah, he said those things. Listen, he has said a lot of things over the years. And this is what I'm telling you, y'all. There's just a straight line from the 1970s to all the way up till now. And it's just that they say it more politely. They just say it in a different way. They say it with a dog whistle. We hear that shit loud and clear. It's the other people that don't. Okay. All right. So let me go back to this this deposition.
2022, and a blown up version, because we appreciate the reading. The type is very small, a blown up version that should be more legible. Do you have
I
both
can
of
see
those?
it, yeah.
Okay. So it says October 12th, 2022, statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. This, quote, Ms. Bergdorf Goodman case is a complete con job. And our legal system in this country, and our legal system in this country, but especially in New York State, just look at Peekaboo James, is a broken disgrace. You have to fight for years and spend a fortune in order to get your reputation back from liars, cheaters, and hacks. This decision is from the judge who was just overturned on my same case. I don't know this woman, have no idea who she is, other than it seems she had a picture of me many years ago with her husband shaking my hand on a reception line at a celebrity charity event. She completely made up a story that I met her at the doors of this crowded New York City department store and within minutes swooned her. Swooned is in quotes. It is a hoax and a lie, just like all the other hoaxes that have been played on me for the past 7 years. And while I'm not supposed to say it, I will. This woman is not my type, exclamation point. She has no idea what day, what week, what month, what year, or what decade this so-called event, in quotes, supposedly took place. The reason she doesn't know is because it never happened, and she doesn't want to get caught up with details or facts that could be proven wrong.
Now, I want to pause right there for a second, and I know I keep pausing, but there are things that I hear that I think it's important to take the opportunity to kind of seize the day, if you will, and talk about trauma. The brain is designed. We as human beings are designed to survive. That is our innate, we got to survive. We have a survival instinct. And in every situation, that is what drives. And our brain does whatever it needs to do to survive. I'm going to give you a really regular, everyday example. So right now, I believe the number is, let me just find it really quickly. I want to make sure I quote the right statistic. Okay, so listen. Our conscious thought only brings in about 10 bits per second. but our senses take in 1 billion bits per second. There's actually 2 billion bits per second that comes in. But what the brain does is it gets rid of the other things that you don't need to know. Because if you actually took in all of the bits of information that were coming into you, you would go stark raving mad. If you consciously knew the walls around you, the color of the walls around you, the pictures on the walls, the colors of the pictures of the wall, the trash cans, the desk, the phone, the fact that my hands are moving, the fact that my lips are moving, the words that I'm saying, if your brain consciously processed all of that information, you would go stark raving mad. So your brain adapts in different ways. So your brain will delete and discard whatever is not necessary. Okay. Whatever you don't need, your brain is just like, bloop, bye. Okay. It will also generalize, right? It will generalize the things around you. And then your brain will also adapt. So you ever look at a cloud and all of a sudden that cloud looks like a damn dog or a sheep or a person or a boat? Your brain can sometimes shift what you see, right? When you are experiencing trauma, your brain goes, fuck this. All I want to do is stay alive. Yeah, fight, flight, fawn, freeze, submit, 100%. And a lot of people just think it's fight or flight. It's not. So one of the things that happens for me with trauma is I freeze. I freeze. Other people, they fawn. Other people submit. It is, trauma is not just, why didn't she fight back? All your brain wants you to do is survive. And if your brain believes that fighting back is going to end up with you being unalived, you don't. And then your brain will compartmentalize. Okay. So you might not remember the face of someone, but you might remember the smell. By the way, the smell, your sense of smell is the strongest sense that you have that brings back memories. Did you know that if you go into like a Starwood hotel, what used to be Starwood, it's now Marriott, but if you go into like the Westin, back behind the fancy curtains, they actually have these machines that put out the same scent in all of their hotels. Why? Because they want you to remember what it's like to be at a Westin. That's why you can be out at a club or a bar and a guy walk past you or a girl walk past you and you catch that scent and all of a sudden you're like, because the last time you smelled that scent, you were being traumatized or attacked. It's why some realtors bake cookies before a showing of a house. Exactly. They want you to know that it's home. You might be able to remember, I'm going to give you a very personal experience because I just believe in being transparent. When we are transparent, a lot of times we help other people. So in the military, I was assaulted in the military, right? And more than once, but I'm going to talk about a particular occasion. I remembered being grabbed by my wrist. I remembered being yanked across the room. I remembered being clotheslined and my tooth going into my bottom lip. I remembered all of that. And it wasn't until I was sitting in my CNP examination, which is when they are determining whether or not you get disability compensation for things that you endure in the military. It wasn't until I was in there And because I had gone to the emergency room, and thank God the doctor in the emergency room had taken great notes, very detailed notes about all the things that had happened to me. And the doctor reading it couldn't believe it, because this is back before computers. So it's handwritten. And after all this time, you could perfectly read everything. It's crazy, right? And so she's reading it. And then as she reads it, now all of a sudden I can see it. I remember, right? I had forgotten being choked. I had forgotten being thrown on the floor with his knee in my back. My brain had just like, girl, no, we can't do that, right? And I think it's really important for people, don't question what a woman does or doesn't remember. Your brain is going to do whatever it needs to do for you to survive, for you to be okay, for you to function. It's exactly, Marie. It is your brain's job to protect you. Oh yeah, girl, it's so triggered. So triggered. And y'all know I have a therapist. So literally I came back and I talked to her and I was like, Dr. G, it's crazy that I forgot. And then I was like, and now there were other things that I remembered. It's so important, folks, to not dismiss people, to not question. Here's my thing. When we say believe them, right? Believe her, believe them, believe him. I am not saying to you that there aren't people who lie about their trauma, because there have been. That's not the vast majority, but there are some. So what I'm saying to you is believe that something has happened and that some investigation, something needs to be done, right? You believe that something has occurred, and then there's an investigation into, okay, what is it that occurred? Okay. So I just want to, when there was questions about she can't remember exactly what year, you would believe some of the things that I can remember. I can remember the first, middle, and last name of the drill sergeant that essayed me. I can remember the color of the car he drove, that he had. Remember back in the day when all the rage was to have airbrush license plates? I can remember that he had one of those. I can remember that he had 2 little girls. Somebody that was my battle buddy in basic training actually wrote a letter for me to go along with my VA stuff. And she was like, yeah, I was outside the door for da-da-da. And I was like, holy fuck. I remembered some essay, but she remembered other things. I am telling you, folks, when you hear Dr. Ford say she can remember certain things about Brett Kavanaugh, but she could remember other things, don't dismiss that. Don't dismiss that. It's one of the reasons I have such a vehement reaction to Pete Hegseth, because I know men like him. I know men who think and believe about women the way that he talks about women, right? And I've talked to other veterans, and I've said, girl, and they'll be like, yep, I know him. I don't know him personally, but I know that energy. I know that type. I know that whatever. Those are the people that perpetuated the environment in which we lived. And that is why DEI is so important. DEIA is so important, is because that's not about having certain people in positions. It's about educating people as to what we do and don't do in environments. It's the awareness. Because a whole lot of men wouldn't say the things that they say if they knew the impact that it had on women. And it's crazy because I feel sorry for many of the men who experience the same thing, but they have an extra layer of shame, right? Because men don't have da 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 da. It's so important, people. Yeah, they stay silent. And just for me to connect the dots just a little bit further, let me say this. There are so many reports coming out of Palestine about the men and women and even minors coming out of Israeli prisons who have been SA'd, raped, not just with body parts, but with objects, with animals. And I need for you all to remember that one of these incidences was even caught on video. It was caught on video. And then those soldiers held a press conference and said, we need our government to be behind us. I want you to think, yeah, there's an autistic child. There's an autistic child that has just come out that was released, and those things happened, are alleged to have happened to him. It is so important, people, for us to know about the things that have happened. This is the reason that Israel's top lawyer has been arrested, because she leaked the video that proved the IDF soldiers did that. She leaked it. And she said, yep, I leaked it. But she did it because her staff and her investigators were being threatened for prosecuting the case. I really want you all to stop and think about the world that we live in, that we participate in, that we create, and the work that we need to do to make it be something different than what it is. Yeah, Macker, I agree. I believe that she's heroic as well. And I hate to think what they will do to her in prison. I hate to think what they will do to her in prison. Yeah, Peeps, I'm inclined to agree with you. There's a report today that I haven't got a chance to read on, but there's a report of an ICE agent pointing a weapon at a citizen, saying, "You're an unalived liberal." It's crazy. But let me give you the shining light at the end of the tunnel through all of this. There are more good people, and there are more people that desire good than don't. And it's important that we talk like that we speak like that we act like that. You just saw that video? Yeah. So I'm just telling you, okay? It's very, very important. I know that we didn't finish listening to the deposition, but I want to just go really quickly to BB, Tucker Carlson, and Nick Fuentes, and to the 2-hour interview that Tucker Carlson did on his podcast with Nick. Nick is a self-proclaimed YT supremacist. He is a he's a birtherism kind of dude. And here's what happened. So many people on the regular MAGA side of things were very upset with Tucker Carlson because he platformed, yes, he is the one who said, your body, my choice. Yes. And his followers are called groypers. Yes. So he was on Tucker Carlson's show. He's also an anti-Semite, 100%. He talks about Jewish people running the country and Jewry and all the stuff, right? He does. That's Nick. And people in the conservative movement were very, very angry that Tucker Carlson had him on his platform and, kind of platformed him. And the reason Tucker had him on is because they both feel the way they feel about Israel. And the Heritage Foundation and many conservatives were pissed at Tucker Carlson and were saying he, kind of wasn't any part of the conservative movement anymore, all the things. And Kevin Roberts, the head of the Heritage Foundation, came out and made the statement, Tucker Carlson is and will always be a friend of the Heritage Foundation. And then when the heads of the Heritage Foundation was super, super pissed, Kevin Roberts came out and clarified his statement, apologized for what he said, and outright denounced Nick. And I believe so did Tucker in terms of those views. When I tell you that this issue of Israel and not just the G side in Palestine, because I don't believe the conservative movement in America gives a damn about Palestinians. They don't. But what they do care about is America first. And the fact that America often isn't first, and that America, including this current administration, puts Israel first, is becoming a huge problem within the Republican Party and within MAGA. So when we talk about the infighting, when we talk about all the stuff that goes with it, there's a lot. That party is fractured. And that's before you even get to Jeffrey's files, the court documents. It's before you even get to any of that. The Republican Party is in trouble. At the same time that the new progressives are starting to shape the Democratic Party for what it's going to be in the future. And that's really important. It's very important. And Bannon knows it. Most of you all are aware that Steve Bannon said if they lose the midterms, and especially if they lose 2028, he said there's a ton of us in this room that are going to jail, including me. That's what he said. Steve Bannon said, listen, we don't win the midterms, we lose 2028, there's a bunch of us in this room going to jail, including me. That's what Steve Bannon said. It was the day after the elections on Tuesday. Right. Exactly. Kat said, and to that I say, inshallah. From his mouth to God's ears, 100%. Folks, I would encourage you. Now, let me just say this. That long ass document from 2006, the grand jury testimony, I have all of it. Well, let me see. Right here in my hands. That's the entire grand jury testimony from 2006. If you have not read the victim impact statements of Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, I recommend you read them. I've read them on this live. They are disturbing, and Virginia's, to be quite honest, is absolutely devastating, because she swore up and down she was going to always continue to fight. She was going to stay around. And as we all know, April of this year, she took her own life. I believe they are in the link tree, Uka. I will make sure that they make it there. If they're not, this one, nope, that's P. Diddy's trial. I'm a court document kind of girl. Sorry, I have Jill's in here too. I have Jill Harth's paperwork in here. Her court cases in here. I have a bunch of the ones that I was just in the link tree, and the list of, yeah. Oh, my link tree is pretty extensive. I'm just going to be very direct with you. My link tree is pretty extensive. So yeah. All right. Let me begin to wrap up by saying this. Okay. Because I got a restriction. You said I need gift cards for ink and paper. Sometimes they do send me something for ink. But let me say this, because I got a restriction at the very beginning, because TikTok was afraid I was encouraging people to give magic beans, I am going to not do that today. Yeah, I mean, they lifted it. I appealed it because I wasn't doing it, but they assumed, because so many of our Palestinian friends requested, that that's what I was doing. So they automatically restricted. It was just when they saw them come in, guys. That's what it was. So I don't want to press my luck. And so I'm not going to do that. What I am going to say to you is, the way to do that is in my link tree. Very direct links. Yeah, that's what I call the gifts, Frodo. So do me a favor, please join my Discord. Yes, the brothers. Nobody was even on my platform. Nobody was even on my platform. People had just requested up, and it immediately, I wasn't on 10, 15 minutes, and they gave me a restriction. I didn't have anybody up, the brothers, and they automatically gave me a restriction that I had to appeal. So, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, they know that it happens sometimes, and they know that that I've gotten shadow banned before. Renee, it literally said that it goes against their community guidelines, asking for gifts and da 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 da, whatever. Yeah, that's what it gave me. Yeah. So, yeah, it was because it was so many of our Palestinian friends.
It's so weird that they have developed a community guideline specifically for a specific group of people. Because
Well, of course it doesn't say to them, but
right, but no, it is.
Yeah.
It's just, you know that they don't want them getting any help, and this is why they're doing that.
Yeah, Brooke, it's because so many of them join my live and request up that's why. And pretty much every day I devote the last hour to them. So here's what I'm going to do right now. Okay. I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm just not going to say anything. I'm not going to tell you all what to do. I'm going to tell you that you know what to do. I think so, the brothers. I'm going to say to you, right, Sister Sarah, you're not the only one. A bunch of people told me that my live wasn't even in their Dani UDK. I know. Cam's like, don't get your ass banned. True. I don't want to. Okay. Instead, what I'm going to do is the brothers, can you send yours to Lisa that's on my panel right now? And she will make sure that we have it. I know I'm being careful because we already got a restriction. Yeah. No, David, you don't even know how many strikes you get. You don't even know with TikTok. You could just be like one day, boop, and that's it. Yeah, you're very welcome, Tracer. Folks, let me just wrap up by saying this. Okay, listen. You want to get into my Discord, right? I have a non-subscriber side and a subscriber side of my Discord. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am going to be inviting folks to watch a movie with me that I own. The I see 568,000.4. And the video, the movie that I own is one that you can't buy in the States. And you can't really see. You'd have to watch it in like whatever. But John Fetterman has been hospitalized after suffering facial injuries from a fall. You know, sometimes that karma be quick as fuck.
I was thinking the same thing.
So it is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is going to be open to everyone. I normally do this just for subscribers, but this will be open to everyone. I upgraded my platform to so that I can accommodate 500 people. That's going to be the max. So first come, first serve. I'm going to put the link for the Google Meet into my link tree and into Discord about 30 to 45 minutes ahead of time. And that, so it will be like first come, first serve. Things that I can tell you, you will see in this documentary. You will see Roger Stone telling Matt Gaetz that he needs a pardon from Donald Trump. You will see him telling Matt Gaetz that the Justice Department offered him a deal the day before the Mueller report came out if he would testify against Trump, but he couldn't live with himself if he did that. You will hear, it's very brazen. Yes. You will hear Matt Gaetz saying, you know, he's already done the work on that. You will hear Roger Stone saying that Donald Trump needs to be impeached, that he deserves to have a long prison sentence, that the District of New York is coming for him. You will see Roger Stone saying that he is going to open an investigation with the FBI into Donald Trump after J6 and Donald Trump not giving him a second pardon. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow evening. I will be here tomorrow morning as usual. Okay. I think that is it. I think that is all I have for you all today. I know we didn't finish the deposition, but you all know where to find it. It's on YouTube. And I will put the links to the documents that were released, along with the links to the deposition, along with the link to Katie Johnson's deposition, all of it in the link tree for you. Okay. Tomorrow night. And then subscribers movie night is Monday night. Okay.
Dani, I don't think you got to it, but Kevin Roberts is supposedly leaving the Heritage Foundation over the Tucker Carlson.
He left once already.
I know.
And then came back. So whatever.
They lost confidence in him after he released that video.
Yeah. Yeah. Cam's coming up for a quick second, so she must have something to say.
Hey guys, no, I was just gonna say, since we had that restriction at the beginning of this live, I think something that could help combat that. I know we do it during the live, but it happened really early this time when Dani first went on. So I think what could help hopefully combat that going forward is if Dani can try to request up early as well, because they are in the request box the moment the live starts. So if you guys are also in the request box the moment the live starts, I think it's not just about who's physically on the panel, but it's about who's in the queue that matters. And I feel like that's what TikTok organized as far as location wise.
That's what they did today.
I think if the moment Dani is live, if you just request up to boost immediately, because they are in there right away. So I think that could help.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I appreciate that. Hey, folks, do me a favor. If you were going to get any magic beans today, specifically for our friends, I don't care if you were only going to do $10 in magic beans, 25, whatever you were going to do in magic beans for our friends, please go to my link tree. I have direct links in my link tree for you, and you can give it that way. Okay, appreciate you very much, folks. Y'all talking about power tap to 600K. Y'all really want me to sit here until you get to 600K? Yes. Callie Cat, I am on TikTok generally at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today I got on 30 minutes early. So I'm getting off 30 minutes early. Yeah, so 10 to 2 is my normal time. Wednesdays will always be done at 1 o'clock, no matter what, because I've changed my schedules around and I have my therapy Wednesdays at 1. So that's that. And it's important that I maintain that. Okay. I hope this was helpful to everybody. Please make sure that you are following. If you haven't done it yet, before I get out of here, this part's really important. If you have not done it yet, please make sure that you do your daily Heart Me, then click it again and claim your points. It is super important that you claim your points so that it all counts, okay? Please make sure you do your daily Heart Me and claim your points. YouTube and Facebook, make sure that you like, make sure that you share all the things. Love you guys over here, mean it. I'm waiting for them to hit like 2,000 more likes and then I'm going to be out of here. I'll see you guys later.